Chapter 1239. Yihao only decided to let the two of them off when he saw them begging for forgiveness. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief when they felt the pain in their bodies disappear. However, they were still lying on the ground like dead dogs. The two of them felt as if they had returned from hell to the mortal world. This feeling was simply too great. "How do the two of you feel?" Yihao asked with a smile when he saw the two of them. When the two of them heard Yihao's words, they immediately sat up with frightened expressions on their faces. That kind of pain was definitely something that they would never forget in their entire lives. Even recalling it made them feel uncomfortable. The two of them hurriedly checked their bodies again. After all, the pain that they had felt just now proved that Yihao had definitely done something to their bodies. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the two of them to be in such unbearable pain in an instant. However, to their disappointment, no matter how carefully the two of them inspected it, over and over again, they were unable to discover the slightest bit of light. It was as if there was nothing in their bodies at all. The thing that Yihao had placed in their bodies seemed to be invisible. Could it be that that thing can only be used once? The two of them suddenly thought boldly. "What do you think?" Suddenly, Yihao's voice sounded in their minds. This caused the two of them to turn deathly pale in an instant. What kind of joke was this? They had only thought about it in their hearts. They had simply not said it out loud. However, Yihao was able to know what they were thinking. This could only mean one thing. Yihao was able to see through their thoughts. This was definitely incomparably terrifying. Didn't this mean that the two of them would be under Yihao's control in the future? If they revealed even the slightest bit of disrespect toward Yihao, Yihao would know about it. Then, wouldn't they have to be loyal and devoted to Yihao and work loyally for Yihao? When I return to the Thunder Emperor Alliance, I will ask the Alliance Master to send people to flatten the Tianyuan Kingdom. In order to experiment, one of them couldn't help but think fiercely in his heart. Then, he looked at Yihao cautiously. "Didn't you want to experiment? This emperor will fulfill your wish." Just as that person finished thinking that, Yihao's voice sounded in his mind again. At the same time, that incomparably painful feeling appeared again. "No, I know that I was wrong. Your Majesty, please spare my life." That person did not doubt that Yihao was able to see through his thoughts. This caused him to be both startled and frightened. However, the painful feeling caused him to be unable to stop himself from begging for forgiveness. Hearing this person begging for mercy, Yihao stopped torturing him with a thought. "All right, tell me about this Grozny alliance, right?" Yihao looked at the two of them and asked, to Yihao to some extent. And there were dozens of spiritual exalted realm experts under them. As for the Alliance Master of the Thunder Emperor Alliance, it was said that his strength had reached the spiritual heaven realm. One must know that the spiritual heaven realm was above the spiritual exalted realm. That was an absolutely invincible existence among the many empires. Therefore, this was also the reason why Lei Yin and the others believed that Yihao would definitely die after offending the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Without talking about others, just the Thunder Emperor alone would be able to flatten the Tianyuan Kingdom. After all, they didn't believe that Yihao would have Atman body realm experts under him. If there really was one, Yihao wouldn't have had a dynasty under his command before. "Your Majesty, this subordinate advises you to quickly send a large amount of resources to the Thunder Emperor Alliance as an apology. Otherwise, you should quickly flee." After the two of them finished explaining the strength of the Thunder Emperor Alliance, they looked towards Yihao and advised him. In their opinion, Yihao was simply courting death by going against the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Yihao was absolutely not a match for the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Apologize? Flee? When Yihao heard the words of the two of them, he shook his head and smiled. Indeed, the Thunder Emperor Alliance was very strong. However, it wasn't as if he didn't have the strength to fight back. Furthermore, apologizing and fleeing weren't things that he would do. Furthermore, he had already fallen out with the Thunder Emperor Alliance to such an extent. Even if he were to apologize, it would be of no use. The Thunder Emperor Alliance would definitely not let him off. As for fleeing, that was even more out of the question. Even if he could escape, Where could the billions of citizens of the Tianyuan kingdom escape to? If these citizens weren't his people, he could still ignore them. However, he was now the emperor of the Tianyuan kingdom. These citizens were his people. Therefore, he had to take responsibility for them. The two of them had puzzled expressions on their faces. Originally, they thought that after talking about the strength of the Thunder Emperor alliance, Yi Hao would feel fear. At the very least, he would feel some panic. However, what they couldn't understand was that Yi Hao was actually still able to smile. They couldn't help but suspect that Yi Hao might have been scared silly by the strength of the Thunder Emperor alliance. Or perhaps, he had to know about the strength of the spiritual heaven realm experts. Your Majesty, you might not know about the strength of the spiritual heaven realm experts. One must know that it's extremely easy for a spiritual heaven realm expert to kill a spiritual exalt realm expert. That's right. In the past, there was a faction whose strongest expert was a spiritual exalt realm expert. His strength could be said to be extremely valiant. However, when he challenged the Thunder Emperor, he was killed by the Thunder Emperor. The two of them hurriedly spoke out. Naturally, they weren't trying to scare Yi Hao. They were purely trying to warn him. If it was in the past, they wouldn't even bother to warn Yi Hao. However, at this moment, they were being controlled. They knew that they couldn't escape from Yi Hao's control. Therefore, they were trying their best to display their strength before Yi Hao and win a favorable impression from Yi Hao. After all, they truly didn't want to experience that kind of painful torture again. Your Majesty, this subordinate has also heard of this Thunder Emperor alliance. They are indeed incomparably powerful. That's right. Back then, we had the intention to join the Thunder Emperor alliance. However, the Thunder Emperor alliance didn't even think highly of us. Your Majesty, the Thunder Emperor alliance is indeed not to be trifled with. At this moment, the crowd from the Earth Fiend sect spoke out. Although they had also seen how powerful Su Lai was and felt astonished by his strength, they didn't think that the Thunder Emperor alliance would be able to defeat the Thunder Emperor alliance. However, they still didn't believe that Su Lai would be a match for the Thunder Emperor alliance. They reckoned that even without the Thunder Emperor taking action, a few spiritual exalts would be able to defeat Su Lai if they joined hands. Therefore, for the sake of the Tianyuan kingdom, they still hoped that Yi Hao would be able to think of a complete solution. If they were to fight against the Thunder Emperor alliance like this, the Tianyuan kingdom would definitely be the one to suffer in the end. Chapter 1240. What did you say? Lei Yin was crippled and thrown out of the Tianyuan palace. Zheng Hui, who was in the tavern, was shocked when he heard his subordinate's report. That's right. I saw it with my own eyes. Lei Yin was indeed crippled and was beaten up by the soldiers of the Tianyuan kingdom. His subordinate quickly added, "How is that possible?" Zheng Hui was in disbelief, because in his opinion, this matter was simply a fantasy story. Who was Lei Yin? She was a 7th-level spiritual elder. Even he was not as strong as her, so he was afraid of her. Therefore, when he heard that Lei Yin had come to the Tianyuan kingdom, he did not dare to show his face for fear of provoking her. In his opinion, Tianyuan kingdom and Yi Hao would be in for a hard time now that Lei Yin was involved. Even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe that Yi Hao's subordinate could defeat Lei Yin. Let's go and take a look. Zheng Hui quickly rushed out of the tavern. He knew that his subordinates would never lie to him. However, he was still unwilling to believe that Lei Yin was crippled. Therefore, he wanted to see it with his own eyes. Soon, Zheng Hui led the group to the palace. Indeed, from afar, they could see Lei Yin curled up in a corner. She was covered in blood. Clearly, the soldiers did not show any mercy when they attacked her. It's really Lei Yin. Although Lei Yin was in a terrible state, Zheng Hui had seen her before. Therefore, he could recognize her at a glance. In the past, even he was like an obedient child in front of Lei Yin. After all, with Lei Yin's strength, killing him would be as easy as killing an ant. Zheng Hui sighed when he saw that Lei Yin, who he did not dare to provoke in the past, had become a cripple. "My lord, should we?" One of his subordinates made a gesture of cutting his throat. Because the Wind Alliance and the Thunder Emperor Alliance were like fire and water, Lei Yin's position in the Thunder Emperor Alliance was not low. If they could kill Lane and bring her head back, it would definitely be a great contribution. Clearly, Zheng Hui was moved by his subordinate's suggestion. However, after thinking for a moment, Zheng Hui shook his head. After all, killing Lei Yin was not a small matter. If Xiao Chun was not careful, he might trigger a war between the Wind Alliance and the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Although the Wind Alliance and the Thunder Emperor Alliance were like fire and water, neither alliance would have an easy time if they really started a war. Looks like we've really underestimated Yi Hao. Zheng Hui narrowed his eyes as he looked in the direction of the temporary imperial residence. He finally understood why Yi Hao had rejected his invitation. After all, Lin Fan was someone who could even cripple Lei Yin. How could Lin Fan possibly care about him? This made him feel a little relieved. He was no longer angry at how Yi Hao had rejected him previously. Let's go. We need to report all of this to the Alliance. Zheng Hui immediately turned around and left. After all, Lane being crippled was no small matter. After Zheng Hui left, the two men brought by Lane also walked out of the palace in a sorry state. The two looked at each other and quickly ran to Lei Yin's side. "My lord, are you all right?" The two of them looked at Lei Yin and asked with concern, "Why did the two of you only come out now?" Although Lei Yin's body was covered in injuries, he still looked at the two of them with vigilance. After all, the two of them had been in the temporary imperial residence for so long. This made him suspicious. "My lord, don't mention it. That bastard tortured us." One of them knew that Lei Yin was suspicious and immediately said with a long face. Of course, he knew that Lei Yin was suspicious. After all, they had followed Lei Yin for so long. There was probably no one who understood Lei Yin better than the two of them. However, the two of them had already discussed a countermeasure on the way out of the temporary imperial residence. Hence, they were able to answer Lei Yin fluently. "My lord, the two of us have followed you for so long. Is our loyalty to you and the Thunder Emperor Alliance worthy of suspicion?" The other man said. Lei Yin nodded his head when he heard the words of the two men. Clearly, he believed the two of them. After all, the two of them had followed him for so long that he trusted them. Otherwise, he would not have kept them by his side. Furthermore, the Thunder Emperor Alliance was so powerful. Unless the two of them were stupid, they would not betray the Thunder Emperor Alliance and join Yi Hao's faction. "All right, my lord. How are your injuries?" "My lord, are your injuries all right?" The two of them asked with concern. At the same time, they took out elixirs and fed them to Lei Yin. Lei Yin's heart ached when he heard the words of the two men and thought about how his cultivation had been crippled. That was because if he did not have a good opportunity, he would be a cripple in this lifetime. He could only live an ignoble life. In his life, he had many enemies who would definitely take revenge on him. Just thinking about it made him shiver. "I believe that Lord Alliance Master will be able to heal my injuries." Lei Yin did not wish to speak too much with the two men. After all, this was a world where the strong were respected. Even if the two of them were loyal to him in the past, if they were to know that he had been reduced to a cripple, they would inevitably look down on him. "In that case, my lord, we should hurry back and let Lord Alliance Master heal you," one of them hurriedly said. "And man, that's right. In order to avoid suspicion, the two of you should say that the two of you came out with me." Lei Yin did not forget to warn the two men. After all, at a time like this where his cultivation had been crippled, the two of them could still help him. If something were to happen to the two of them, it would definitely be a huge blow to him. At the very least, with the strength of the two men, they could guarantee his safety. One must know that he had some opponents in the alliance. If some people did not dare to openly deal with him in order to deal with him, they would definitely target the two of them. Therefore, he had no choice but to consider the two of them. If someone were to know that the two of them had left the palace after him for a long time, at that time, they would be accused of betraying the Grozny alliance and colluding with Yi Hao. That would be really troublesome. "My lord, you are indeed thoughtful. The two of us will listen to your orders." When the two of them heard Lei Yin's words, they hurriedly expressed their gratitude. Just as the three of them were about to leave, Yi Hao appeared where the three of them were and sneered. "Grozny alliance, since you dared to provoke me, you better think about the price you will pay. As for the Wind Alliance, you better behave yourselves. Your Majesty, where are we going next? Sulai looked at Yi Hao and asked respectfully. Black Rock Mountain Range. Yi Hao replied. Now that he was facing the Grozny alliance, he had no choice but to quickly increase his strength. At the same time, he had to increase Sulai's strength as well. After all, the Grozny alliance had an existence of the spiritual heaven realm. This was an existence that he was currently unable to contend against. Chapter 1241. Your Majesty, you can't enter the Black Rock Mountain Range so easily. That's right, Your Majesty. The Black Rock Mountain Range is filled with danger. Entering it might be life-threatening. May I know why Your Majesty wants to enter the Black Rock Mountain Range? The Earth Fiend sect's people hurriedly asked worriedly. This was because they had heard of the Black Rock Mountain Range. It was filled with danger. It was said that even spiritual venerables would be in danger if they entered the place. Therefore, they were worried that Yi Hao would encounter life-threatening danger if he entered the Black Rock Mountain Range. It's fine. Yi Hao shook his head in response to the crowd's anxiety. After all, to others, the Black Rock Mountain Range was filled with danger. However, to him, it was a treasure trove of life. Because danger and opportunity coexisted, the demonic beasts in the Black Rock Mountain Range were indeed powerful. However, he could also obtain a considerable amount of experience. This way, he could quickly increase his strength and deal with the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Otherwise, if he waited for the Thunder Emperor Alliance to come knocking on his door, the Thunder Emperor Alliance might really be able to flatten the Tian Yuan Kingdom. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, they were still filled with worry. Don't worry, when I return from the Black Rock Mountain Range, the Thunder Emperor Alliance will be exterminated. Yi Hao's tone was filled with confidence. When I return, the Thunder Emperor Alliance will be exterminated. Yi Hao's words echoed in the minds of the crowd, causing them to be incomparably shocked. After all, they had never seen anyone who dared to say that the Thunder Emperor Alliance would be exterminated. However, from Yi Hao's tone, they could hear that Yi Hao was incomparably confident, causing them to be unable to doubt his words. Yi Hao gave some instructions to the crowd before leaving with Sulai. King Wu-Wen, we will be able to conquer the city in front of us soon. At this moment, in front of a city of the Fire Beacon Dynasty, there was a huge army surrounding the city. The leader of this army was called Wu-Wen, and he was originally a general of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. After learning that the Fire Beacon Dynasty's royal family had been exterminated, he quickly eliminated his opponents and took control of this million-strong army, ceding territory and becoming king. Wu-Wen relied on his strength and was considered one of the stronger rebels in the Fire Beacon Dynasty. In just a short while, the number of cities under his control had reached dozens. At this moment, Wu-Wen's strength was definitely not inferior to any of the empires. Wu-Wen narrowed his eyes and looked at the city in front of him. When he heard his subordinate's report, his face was filled with pride. Speaking of him, he had been in high spirits recently. Originally, he was only a general of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. With the Fire Beacon Dynasty's imperial family present, he didn't dare to act recklessly. However, he didn't expect that the heavens would favor him and give him such a good opportunity to establish himself as a king. Over the past few days, he had been addicted to being the emperor. He had truly experienced what it meant to be free and unrestrained, to do as he pleased. This made him very satisfied, and also made him think that this was the life he should have. At this moment, his forces were growing stronger by the day. As long as he could take down the city in front of him, he occupied 1/10 of the western territories of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. At that time, he would be able to attack or retreat, and no one would be able to do anything to him. This filled him with hope for the future. Shihong, stop being so stubborn. The Fire Beacon Dynasty is already done for. Why are you still guarding the city before you? Why aren't you pledging allegiance to me? I will give you an official position. Wu-Wen shouted as he looked at the city before him. How dare you call yourself a king, Wu-Wen? To tell you the truth, I have already pledged allegiance to the Sky Yuan Emperor. I advise you to withdraw your troops, lest you make a mistake. Shi Hong, who was on the city wall, said. Shi Hong's words were also the truth. After all, this was a world where the strong were respected. The rise and fall of empires was very normal. Therefore, very few people would choose to be blindly loyal to a country. For example, when the imperial family of the Fire Beacon dynasty was destroyed, people who wanted to avenge the imperial family were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Other than the selfish ones, the majority of the people had already thought of their own way out. Besides those who wanted to establish themselves as kings, there were also many people and families that had moved away from the Fire Beacon dynasty and away from this troublesome place. Of course, there were also some people who couldn't leave, who had all pledged allegiance to Yi Hao. Shi Hong was one of those people who had pledged allegiance to Yi Hao. Shi Hong's strength wasn't considered weak. Although he wasn't strong enough to establish himself as a king, he would still be put in an important position regardless of which rebel king he pledged allegiance to. However, Shi Hong was looking at the long term. He believed that, since Yi Hao had been able to destroy the Fire Beacon dynasty's imperial family, he naturally had considerable strength. These rebel kings were basically causing trouble right under Yi Hao's nose. If Yi Hao made a move against these people, how many people would be able to stop him? After all, no matter how strong these rebel kings were, it was impossible for the Fire Beacon dynasty's imperial family to leave. However, if even the Fire Beacon dynasty's imperial family had been destroyed, then these rebel kings were nothing. What Shi Hong had never imagined was that, once he announced his allegiance to Yi Hao, no one would dare touch him. Who would have imagined that Wu Wen would actually be so bold as to surround his city? Shi Hong was secretly shocked as he looked at the army below the city. He hadn't expected Wu Wen to develop so quickly. This army was definitely not something he could deal with. Haha, what's wrong, Shi Hong? Do you think that I will be afraid of you just because you mentioned the Tianyuan kingdom? Wu Wen sneered disdainfully when he heard Shi Hong's words. After all, the heavens were high and the emperor was far away. He didn't believe that Yi Hao could do anything to him. Furthermore, even if Yi Hao made a move, he wouldn't be the first to make a move. When the time came, Shi Hong would still have time to react. At worst, he would have no choice but to pledge allegiance to Yi Hao. If that didn't work, he could pledge allegiance to another dynasty. In any case, he had an army in his hands, and his words were firm. No matter where he went, he would definitely be put in an important position. Therefore, Wu Wen really had no scruples at this moment. Wu Wen, if you dare to massacre my city, you will definitely regret it. Shi Hong said furiously. Haha, Shi Hong, if you are so capable, then make me regret it right now. Otherwise, you can either surrender or die. Wu Wen couldn't help but laugh. His tone was full of arrogance. King Wu Wen, why waste your breath on him? When my army enters the city, we will make him kneel and beg for mercy. That's right. This Shi Hong is really courting death by daring to raise his voice at King Wu Wen. You must know that King Wu Wen has destroyed countless cities recently. Chapter 1242. Wu Wen's subordinates spoke up one after another in order to curry favor with Wu Wen and gain his recognition. Shi Hong's expression turned ugly when he heard Wu Wen's subordinates belittling him. Haha, did you hear that, Shi Hong? Don't be so shameless. Are you surrendering or not? Wu Wen's face was full of arrogance. Sir, are we really going to fight Wu Wen to the death? We're no match for him. That's right, sir. Although we have sided with Emperor Tianyuan, Emperor Tianyuan doesn't care about our lives. Why should we risk our lives for him? That's right, sir. I think we should surrender to Wu Wen. Before Shi Hong could speak, many people behind him had already started to advise him. When Shi Hong heard this, a hesitant look appeared on his face. It was obvious that he was struggling in his heart. After all, this concerned the lives of the entire city. Shi Hong looked at the people behind him and started to ponder. Wu Wen sneered as he looked at Shi Hong, who was deep in thought. In his opinion, as long as Shi Hong wasn't a fool, he would definitely side with him in front of his army. I will defend the city to my death. After thinking for a moment, Shi Hong decided not to surrender to Wu Wen. He had also thought things through. Yi Hao was so powerful that he hadn't been able to defeat the royal family of the Fire Beacon Empire. Destroying Wu Wen would be a piece of cake. Even if he sided with Wu Wen to protect himself now, when Yi Hao came looking for trouble, only death would await him. So instead of that, why would he choose to side with Wu Wen? What? Shi Hong, you are really courting death. Wu Wen was furious when he heard Shi Hong's words. He had originally thought that Shi Hong would definitely side with him. However, he hadn't expected that Shi Hong would be so untactful. He was basically digging his own grave. This also caused him to lose face in front of the other soldiers. After all, he had given Shi Hong plenty of face and given him so many chances. However, Shi Hong still didn't know how to cherish them. Sir, don't you want to reconsider? Reconsider? Sir, you have to reconsider. The people behind Shi Hong hurriedly tried to dissuade him when they heard Shi Hong's words. Clang! This time, Shi Hong pulled out his long sword and said in a serious tone, "Military orders must be obeyed. Whoever dares to disturb the morale of the troops, don't blame my long sword for being merciless." Everyone looked at the long sword in Shi Hong's hand that was emitting a cold light. None of them dared to say anything. Kill them. Wu Wen had clearly reached the limit of his patience and ordered. Originally, he was still thinking that he could break through Shi Hong's city effortlessly. But now, it seemed that it was not too possible. Prepare for battle. Keep your spirits up. His Majesty will definitely send people to save us. Shi Hong encouraged the soldiers when he saw Wu Wen's order to attack. Haha, and you're still hoping that Emperor Tianyuan will send someone to deal with you? Stop dreaming. Wu Wen laughed mercilessly when he heard Shi Hong's words. Who said I was dreaming? Wang Junhai's voice suddenly sounded at this moment. The person Wang Junhai was dealing with this time was none other than Wu Wen. In order to find Wu Wen as soon as possible, he hurried and finally arrived here. Wang Junhai's appearance instantly attracted everyone's attention. After all, Wang Junhai's sudden appearance in front of the two armies attracted everyone's attention. Who are you? Seeing Wang Junhai suddenly appear, Wu Wen looked at Wang Junhai warily. Although Shi Hong didn't say anything, his gaze was fixed on Wang Junhai. Are you Wu Wen? Wang Junhai didn't answer Wu Wen's question. Instead, he asked directly, Impudent! How dare you use King Wu Wen's name? You must have a death wish. The person behind Wu Wen was enraged. He immediately brandished the weapon in his hand and charged at Wang Junhai. Mo Sun was secretly delighted. This was a chance for him to perform. If he killed Wang Junhai directly, Wu Wen would definitely praise him. Wu Wen didn't stop Mo Sun when he saw him come forward. He wanted to use Mo Sun to test Wang Junhai's strength. Scram! Wang Junhai shouted angrily when he saw that Mo Sun had actually dared to attack him. As he shouted, a beam of power shot out from his body and hit Mo Sun. Mo Sun didn't even have a chance to react before he was sent flying. He crashed to the ground and lost all signs of life. Countless people sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the scene before them. Many people didn't even see what had happened before they saw Mo Sun being killed. Who exactly are you? Wu Wen looked at the dead Mo Sun in shock. He looked at Wang Junhai cautiously and worriedly. One had to know that Mo Sun's strength was definitely not ordinary among his subordinates. He was definitely ranked in the top 10. However, he was killed by Wang Junhai with a shout. How could he not be shocked? There was no doubt that Wang Junhai's strength was definitely not something he could compare to. Therefore, he wanted to find out who Wang Junhai was and whether he was a friend or foe. At this moment, Shi Hong looked at Wang Junhai in astonishment. His eyes were filled with fear. Obviously, he was also frightened by Wang Junhai's strength. However, Shi Hong was in no hurry to speak. He was observing silently. I was sent by His Majesty Tianyuan to subdue you. Wang Junhai looked at Wu Wen and said, His Majesty Tianyuan, subdue me. Wu Wen narrowed his eyes when he heard Wang Junhai's words. His voice became low. What? Are you willing? Wang Junhai continued to ask. You want to subdue me? Dream on. Although Wu Wen knew that he was no match for Wang Junhai, he was not afraid of Wang Junhai because he had a million-strong army behind him. He didn't believe that Wang Junhai could be stronger than a million-strong army, unless Wang Junhai was a spiritual supremacy. But was that possible? There were so few spiritual supremacies. How could one appear in front of him? Therefore, in Wu Wen's opinion, no matter how strong Wang Junhai was, he was probably only in the spiritual martial realm. As long as he didn't exceed the spiritual supremacy realm, Wu Wen had nothing to fear. He was sent by His Majesty. Shi Hong was overjoyed when he heard Wang Junhai's words. Obviously, he didn't expect he had to really send someone here. My lord, although this person is strong, he is alone. It will be difficult for him to be a match for Wu Wen's army. That's right. I don't know what His Majesty Tian Yuan is thinking. He only sent one person here. The people behind Shi Hong couldn't help but speak up. So you're saying that you're not going to surrender? Wang Junhai wasn't surprised when he heard Wu Wen's words. Obviously, he had expected this. Chapter 1243. Just as Wang Junhai was about to make a move, Wu Wen spoke up. Oh, then why don't you tell me what I should do to make you surrender? Wang Junhai wasn't in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he looked interested. If you want me to surrender, you'll have to get His Majesty Tian Yuan to issue an imperial edict to make me king and give me my land. Wu Wen said. Wu Wen, you must be dreaming. Shi Hong couldn't bear to listen to Wu Wen's words any longer. It was obvious that Wu Wen didn't take Yi Hao seriously at all. His request was only to allow him to claim the title of king more legitimately. Shut up, you idiot. You have no right to speak here. Wu Wen glared at Shi Hong unhappily. In his heart, Shi Hong was already a dead man. Not only did Shi Hong refuse to surrender, but he was also holding him up. This made Wu Wen very unhappy. Wu Wen, oh Wu Wen, you really don't know what's good for you. Wang Junhai was speechless when he heard Wu Wen's overconfident words. He couldn't help but wonder if Wu Wen had any brains at all. Didn't he know that he could still keep his life if he surrendered now? It was bad enough that Wu Wen wasn't grateful, but he actually dared to make such an outrageous request. I really don't know what's good for me when I declare myself king. Wu Wen's tone was still as haughty as ever. That's all I want. Do it if you can. If you can't, scram. Don't waste my time here. Wu Wen said bluntly. To be honest, Wu Wen still didn't want to make a move against Wang Junhai. Clearly, Mo Sun's death had shocked him enough. Otherwise, he would have ordered his men to make a move on Wang Junhai. Are you people going to wallow in the mire with him or surrender? Wang Junhai ignored Wu Wen as though he hadn't heard him. He looked at the crowd around Wu Wen and asked, Looks like you really have a death wish. Do it. Although Wu Wen was wary of Wang Junhai, the fact that Wang Junhai dared to ignore him infuriated him. At Wang Junhai's command, close to 10,000 people charged towards him. Protect, sir. When Shi Hong saw this scene, he hurriedly opened his mouth and ordered his subordinates. It doesn't matter. They're just a bunch of kittens and puppies. Wang Junhai looked indifferent. I don't believe that you could defeat these 10,000 soldiers. Wu Wen couldn't help but feel proud of himself as he watched this scene. He knew very well that none of his subordinates were a match for Wang Junhai, so he planned to use the human wave tactic to deal with Wang Junhai. Unless Wang Junhai was a spiritual elder, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he had wings. Shi Hong looked at the scene in front of him and was secretly anxious in his heart. He originally wanted to bring people to help, but after hearing Wang Junhai's words, he could only bide his time. Kneel down, all of you. Wang Junhai looked at the 10,000 soldiers in his eyes. Soon after, he let out a soft cry. The powerful aura from all over his body also surged out and crushed towards the 10,000 soldiers. Puff, puff, puff. The soldiers charging at the front simply could not resist. Wang Junhai's valiant aura caused all of them to vomit blood. In the next second, the 10,000 soldiers were scattered and limp on the ground. It was obvious that they had all been crippled. How is this possible? He's so powerful. Everyone was shocked when they saw the scene in front of them. This was 10,000 soldiers. Even a spiritual martial realm expert couldn't easily cripple them with just his aura. However, not only did Wang Junhai do it, but he also had a relaxed expression on his face. This is so powerful. When Shi Hong saw Wang Junhai's strength, his eyes lit up with excitement. Oh my God, could this be from the Tianyuan kingdom? Oh my God, the strength of the Tianyuan kingdom is too terrifying. It seems that we have underestimated the Tianyuan kingdom and his majesty too much. The people behind Shi Hong also spoke with faces full of shock. Not good. When Wu Wen saw the scene in front of him, he already knew that he had underestimated Wang Junhai. As the saying goes, when an arrow is knocked on the bow, it must be released. Since he had already made his decision, there was no way he could go back on it. He could only burn the boats. Otherwise, he might really die here today. Continue to attack. Wu Wen ordered the soldiers behind him again. This time, the soldiers under Wu Wen's command all had grave expressions on their faces. More than 100,000 people charged towards Wang Junhai. One had to know that this was 100,000 people besieging a single person. Just thinking about it, one would know how shocking such a scene was. Sir, can we still do it this time? Although they had seen Wang Junhai's strength earlier, they were confident that he could defeat 10,000 people. But this time, when they saw that Wang Junhai had to face more than 10,000 soldiers in one go, they were not confident. Therefore, everyone's faces were filled with worry once again. You're courting death. Wang Junhai snorted coldly. This time, he did not plan to attack these 100,000 people. Although it was not a problem for him to deal with these 100,000 people with his cultivation, it would definitely consume a lot of energy. It would definitely not be worth it. Therefore, he had to capture the leader first. His target was Wu Wen. In his opinion, as long as he killed Wu Wen, Wu Wen's army would be scattered like sand. Let's see what you can do this time. Even if you can deal with these 100,000 soldiers, I still have millions of soldiers behind me. I'll play with you today. Wu Wen's tone was full of arrogance and pride. Although this person is strong, he must be blind to go against King Wu Wen. As long as King Wu Wen kills him and takes over this city, King Wu Wen's name will spread far and wide. That's right. Perhaps the Fire Beacon dynasty will belong to King Wu Wen in the future. When the people around Wu Wen heard what he said, they all hurriedly flattered him. Oh my God, he's flying. Just as everyone was still flattering Wu Wen, a cry of surprise was heard. Following this cry, everyone immediately looked over and saw that Wang Junhai, who had been surrounded by the army, was actually floating in the air. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This is a spiritual supremacy. How is this possible? Wu Wen's voice trembled when he saw this scene. Although he had never seen a spiritual supremacy before, he knew that spiritual supremacies could fly in the air. At the same time, he also knew that a spiritual supremacy was not someone he could afford to offend. Even 1,000,000 soldiers would not be able to stop a spiritual supremacy. Chapter 1244. This lord is a spiritual elder. Shi Hong gasped when he saw Wang Junhai flying in the air. Where did this Emperor Tianyuan come from? He's too powerful. Yeah, he sent a spiritual elder just to deal with Wu Wen. I heard that only the legendary ancestor Yushang of the Fire Beacon Imperial family had the strength of a spiritual elder. It seems that the Fire Beacon Imperial family is unwilling to be destroyed. But Wu Wen has really kicked an iron plate this time. How dare he challenge a spiritual elder? Even 1,000,000 soldiers won't be able to save his life. Humph! It's an honor for a mere Wu Wen to die at the hands of a spiritual elder. Many of the people behind Shi Hong were discussing this in shock. However, there were also many people who looked at Wu Wen mockingly. After all, they had almost been forced into a corner by Wu Wen and wanted to rely on him. However, they were still extremely displeased by Wu Wen's arrogance. Now that they saw that Wu Wen was about to be killed, they naturally felt that they had vented their anger. Quick, stop him! Wu Wen was completely flustered at this moment. He knew that he was no match for a spiritual elder. If he fell into Wang Junhai's hands, only death would await him. However, his glorious life had just begun. How could he be willing to die? Therefore, He could only rely on all the soldiers to help him stop Wang Junhai and buy time for him to escape. However, what made him dumbfounded was that none of the soldiers moved. This was because most of the soldiers were obviously scared out of their wits by Wang Junhai, a spiritual elder. How would they dare to attack a spiritual elder? As for those who wanted to listen to Wu Wan, they didn't know how to stop him. After all, Wang Junhai could fly in the air, but they couldn't. Therefore, how could they stop Wang Junhai? Little brat Wu Wan, His Majesty is virtuous and asked this old man to give you a chance to live. Unfortunately, you didn't cherish it. Don't blame this old man. Die. Wang Junhai looked at Wu Wan and said coldly. As soon as Wang Junhai finished speaking, he immediately struck out with his right palm. Dense, spiritual energy formed a giant palm that directly bombarded Wu Wan. Run. When the people around Wu Wan saw the powerful palm descending, their faces were filled with fear. Under the pressure of the palm, they all felt the aura of death. They couldn't help but flee in all directions. They didn't doubt that if they were hit by this palm, they would die without a doubt. When Wu Wan saw the palm descend, he also wanted to escape. However, he was suppressed by Wang Junhai's aura. He stood where he was, unable to move at all. No matter how hard he struggled, it was all to no avail. No! Wu Wan looked at the palm and didn't have any intention of stopping. He roared madly and begged for mercy. However, his begging had no effect on Wang Junhai at all. He was smashed into smithereens with a single slap. All that was left was a cloud of blood mist. Plop, plop, plop. When Wu Wan's subordinates saw Wang Junhai kill Wu Wan so easily, they all knelt on the ground in fear. Your Excellency, please spare our lives. Please spare our lives, Your Excellency. The group hurriedly knelt down and begged for mercy. Those who surrender will be spared. Wang Junhai glanced at the crowd and said directly. Obviously, he couldn't be bothered to deal with these people. With his cultivation, these soldiers were like ants in front of him. We surrender. We surrender. We surrender. When everyone heard Wang Junhai's words, they all hurriedly shouted. They were all afraid that if they surrendered a little later, they would end up like Wu Wan. Wang Junhai glanced at the people kneeling on the ground and nodded with satisfaction. Then, he looked in the direction of Shi Hong and asked, You are Shi Hong? Your Excellency knows me? When Shi Hong heard Wang Junhai call his name, his face was filled with nervousness and excitement. After all, this was a spiritual honorable realm expert. He had never met one in his life. It was his great honor to be able to talk to him now. You are very good. You have done well to guard the city for His Majesty. Wang Junhai looked at Shi Hong and praised him generously. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you, Your Excellency. When Shi Hong heard Wang Junhai's words, he looked extremely flattered. The people behind Shi Hong hurriedly looked envious. After all, to be praised by the emperor and a spiritual honorable realm expert was in itself a kind of supreme honor. His Majesty has decided to promote you by one rank. I will assist you in recovering this lost land. Wang Junhai said directly. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your kindness. Shi Hong hurriedly expressed his gratitude. When he heard that Wang Junhai was going to assist him, he was so excited that he couldn't control himself. With Your Excellency's help, recovering this lost land will be a piece of cake. Yes, perform well. If you encounter any difficulties, come to me. I will go to the city to rest. Wang Junhai continued. Obviously, he couldn't be bothered to interfere with these trivial matters. Yes, Your Excellency. I will arrange a place for Your Excellency to stay. Shi Hong's face was full of smiles at this moment. He was very respectful to Wang Junhai. After all, Wang Junhai was a spiritual honorable realm expert. This was definitely an opportunity for him. As long as he could establish a good relationship with Wang Junhai, it would be equivalent to establishing a good relationship with a spiritual honorable realm expert. Then, who would dare to offend him in the future? At this moment, Shi Hong finally felt that he had made the right choice. He even felt that his chance to soar had arrived. Don't worry about me. Take care of this first. Wang Junhai waved his hand and looked at the million rebel soldiers as he spoke. Yes, When Shi Hong heard Wang Juanhai's words, he didn't dare to disobey. Shi Hong raised his arm and shouted, "Men, capture all these rebel soldiers." Yes, all of Shi Hong's subordinates immediately obeyed the order. However, what was very dramatic was that the number of Shi Hong's subordinates was far less than the number of Wu Wen's rebel soldiers. The difference in numbers between the two sides created a huge gap. However, none of Wu Wen's rebel soldiers dared to act rashly. They all obediently accepted the captives. What a joke. There was a spiritual honorable realm expert here. If they dared to act rashly, they would be purely courting death. They submitted to a spiritual honorable realm expert from the bottom of their hearts. Especially when they saw Wang Junhai fly through the air and easily kill Wu Wen with one palm strike, their resistance dissipated into nothingness. Chapter 1245. Moreover, the number of people who were loyal to Wu Wen could be counted on one hand. They had no choice but to follow Wu Wen for the sake of their own future. However, it was clear that following Yi Hao, who had a spiritual exalt as a subordinate, had a much brighter future than following Wu Wen. Looks like they're making good progress. As expected of spiritual exalts, Yi Hao could sense what Wang Junhai and the others were thinking, so he naturally knew that Wang Junhai and the others had regained most of their lost territory. He couldn't help but praise them. However, Yi Hao and Su Lai didn't slow down at all and continued to rush towards the Black Rock Mountain Range. At the same time, the Wind Alliance and Thunder Emperor Alliance were in a mess. At the Wind Alliance's headquarters, the Wind Alliance Master sat in the middle of a large hall. Many of the Wind Alliance's experts were seated around him. At this moment, the gazes of the numerous experts were all looking at Zheng Hui, who was still standing. "Zheng Hui, tell us, how did your trip to rope in Emperor Tianyuan go?" An elder asked Zheng Hui. "Yes, royal uncle." Zheng Hui looked at the old man and nodded respectfully. This old man was none other than someone from the Zheng dynasty. He was his royal uncle and an elder of the Wind Alliance. The Great Jing Empire's current prosperity had a lot to do with this old man. After all, not all the empires and factions in the Wind Alliance could hold the position of elder. Those who could hold the position of elder in the Wind Alliance were either powerful or had made outstanding contributions to the Wind Alliance. Therefore, everyone in the Zheng Empire was proud of this elder. Thanks to this elder, the Zheng Empire had sent many talented disciples into the Wind Alliance to be nurtured. This disciple went to the original Fire Beacon Empire and saw Emperor Tianyuan. I sent him an invitation, but was rejected. Zheng Hui looked at everyone and said carefully, "What? Rejected? Doesn't he know that you're a member of the Wind Alliance and that we invited him to join?" One person frowned when he heard Zheng Hui's words. Zheng Hui looked at Elder Cheng and shook his head. "Elder Cheng, this disciple reported my Wind Alliance's name, but I was still rejected. Then, does he not know how powerful our Wind Alliance is?" Elder Cheng asked again. "I've already explained to him that the Wind Alliance is powerful, but it's useless." Zheng Hui shook his head again. "How preposterous! How dare you refuse my Wind Alliance's invitation?" Elder Cheng was furious. This little emperor of heavenly Yuan is too arrogant. Does he have a death wish? Could it be that just because he eliminated the Fire Beacon Imperial family, he thinks he's unparalleled in the world and dares to not put our Wind Alliance in his eyes? In my opinion, this little emperor wants to see the methods of our Wind Alliance. Following Elder Cheng's words, the crowd began to speak one after another. All of their faces were filled with displeasure. Clearly, when they heard that Yi Hao had rejected the Wind Alliance's request, they felt that they were being ignored by Yi Hao. This made them feel extremely displeased. If they could, they wished that they could teach Yi Hao a lesson right now and let Yi Hao know the immensity of heaven and earth. Did the Thunder Emperor Alliance send anyone this time? The Wind Alliance Master, who was sitting in the middle, suddenly asked. When the crowd heard the Alliance Master's question, they all quieted down. Thus, the crowd all turned their gazes to Zheng Hui, waiting for his answer. Zheng Hui nodded. The Thunder Emperor Alliance did send someone, and that person is Lane. What? Lane actually went. I really didn't expect the Thunder Emperor Alliance to make such a big fuss this time. They actually sent Lane. Looks like we've underestimated the fury of the Thunder Emperor Alliance. Everyone was shocked when they heard Zheng Hui's words. Clearly, they had all guessed that the Thunder Emperor Alliance would definitely send someone to the Fire Beacon Dynasty to cause trouble for Yi Hao. However, they had never imagined that the Thunder Emperor Alliance would directly send an expert like Lane. As the sworn enemies of the Thunder Emperor Alliance, they naturally knew that Lane was extremely powerful. Zheng Hui, you bumped into Lane. Did she make things difficult for you? The old man from the Zheng dynasty couldn't help but ask worriedly. This was because he had some understanding of Lane's character. She was extremely arrogant and conceited. If Lane had seen Zheng Hui, there was no way that Zheng Hui wouldn't have been humiliated by Lane and flaunted his strength. Zheng Hui's heart warmed slightly when he saw the old man's concerned gaze. Imperial uncle, I didn't bump into Lane. Lane went to see Emperor Tianyuan after me. Zheng Hui replied truthfully. What happened to Emperor Tianyuan? Was he killed by Lane? The old man continued. He deserved to be killed. Who asked him to reject the recruitment of our Wind Alliance? How dare he reject the recruitment of our Wind Alliance? He deserved to die. Our Wind Alliance gave him a chance to live. Who could he blame if he didn't control himself? Everyone snorted coldly. Sirs, you've misunderstood. Emperor Tianyuan isn't dead. Zheng Hui said directly when he heard everyone's words. How is that possible? Could it be that even Lane didn't kill him? Based on Lane's temper, she should have killed him. Lane has a fiery temper every time. We all know that. She won't let Emperor Tianyuan go. Everyone was puzzled when they heard Zheng Hui's words. Not only did Lane fail to kill Emperor Tianyuan, her cultivation was also crippled. Zheng Hui threw out another bombshell when he saw everyone's puzzled expressions. SSS, is that true? Everyone couldn't help but gasp when they heard Zheng Hui's words. What kind of joke was this? They were well aware of Lane's strength. Even if Lane was placed in their Wind Alliance, she would still be considered a top elite. Only a few Grand Elders of the Wind Alliance or the Wind Alliance leader could cripple Lane. No one else could do it. But now, they were told that Lane had been crippled by Yi Hao. How could they believe it? Zheng Hui, are you joking? The Zheng Empire's patriarch hurriedly asked. Zheng Hui, did you see Lane being crippled with your own eyes? Even the Wind Alliance leader asked solemnly. Chapter 1246. When everyone heard Zheng Hui's words, they knew that he wouldn't lie. Deep shock appeared on their faces. After all, the reason why they wanted to recruit Yi Hao was because the Fire Phoenix Empire had destroyed the Fire Phoenix Empire. That was entirely because Yi Hao was able to destroy the Fire Beacon Dynasty. This made them feel that Yi Hao possessed power that was not weaker than the Fire Beacon Dynasty. However, in the end, they didn't place too much importance on Yi Hao. However, they never imagined that the power in Yi Hao's hands would actually far exceed their imaginations. Alliance leader, what should we do now? This person's strength isn't ordinary. Should we increase our efforts to recruit him? He can cripple Lane. If we can recruit him into our Wind Alliance, our Wind Alliance's strength will definitely increase by a lot. I really didn't expect that we would underestimate this person. Many people who valued Yi Hao's strength started to speak. They all had thoughts of recruiting Yi Hao. However, there were also many voices of opposition. I don't think it's appropriate to recruit this person. He's too arrogant. He actually dared to reject our Wind Alliance's recruitment. That's right. This person crippled Lane. He will definitely infuriate the Thunder Emperor Alliance. The Thunder Emperor Alliance will definitely deal with him. How about we recruit him? If he wants to join our Wind Alliance will have to clean up his mess. The Thunder Emperor Alliance's anger won't be easy to deal with. In an instant, everyone in the hall was hyped up. Zheng Hui had already expected this when he heard the commotion. Therefore, he didn't say anything and just stood to the side quietly. This was because he simply didn't have the right to speak in such a situation. I think we should let the Alliance leader decide on this matter. Someone suddenly said after a long while of arguing. Everyone immediately quieted down when they heard this person's words. They looked at the Wind Alliance leader and waited for his decision. The Wind Alliance leader looked at everyone and shook his head. This person is too arrogant. It's not worth it to fall out with the Thunder Emperor Alliance for him. The Wind Alliance's alliance master directly spoke his thoughts. To be honest, when he heard that Yi Hao was able to cripple Lei Yin, he was shocked by Yi Hao's strength and wanted to rope him in. But Yi Hao only crippled Lei Yin, not others. Lei Yin's status in the Grozny Alliance was extraordinary. He was the son of the Grozny Alliance's first Supreme Elder. The chief of the Grozny Alliance was Lei Yin's brother. Now that Lei Yin had been crippled, the Lei family would definitely not take this lying down. The entire Thunder Emperor Alliance would definitely launch a frenzied retaliation against Yi Hao. Therefore, if Yi Hao had crippled someone else, he definitely wouldn't have let the Lei family get too angry. He would have been able to handle it himself. However, the one who had been crippled was Lei Yin. If he were to act on behalf of Yi Hao, he would definitely have a falling out with the Grozny Alliance. Clearly, in his opinion, it was not worth it to shed all pretense of cordiality with the Grozny Alliance over a mere Yi Hao. Furthermore, even he wouldn't dare to rashly cripple Lei Yin. In his opinion, Yi Hao was too daring and reckless. He didn't know the difference between life and death. If he were to rope such a person into the Wind Alliance, he might even bring some trouble to the Wind Alliance. Thus, he directly abandoned the idea of roping in Yi Hao. Alliance leader is wise. Humph, if you want to blame someone, blame that brat for not seizing this opportunity. Now, let's see how that brat and his nation will be trampled flat by the Grozny Alliance. Voices of praise immediately sounded after they heard the Wind Alliance leader's decision. As for those people who wanted to rope in Yi Hao from the beginning, they didn't say anything after they heard the Alliance leader's decision. They only felt pity for Yi Hao in their hearts for missing out on such a good opportunity to join the Wind Alliance. If Yi Hao were to know what these people were thinking, he would definitely laugh out loud. After all, he didn't care about a mere Wind Alliance. At this moment, the Grozny Alliance, which was in opposition to the Wind Alliance's headquarters, was also in a meeting. However, the atmosphere was incomparably solemn. Second brother, you said that bastard subordinate crippled your cultivation. The Grozny Alliance leader looked at Lei Yin, his tone filled with boundless anger. What kind of joke was this? What kind of status did he have? He was the Grand Alliance leader of the Grozny Alliance. Even the emperors of the majority of empires had to be reverent and respectful when they saw him. However, his own younger brother had actually been crippled. Wasn't this a slap to his face? If this news were spread, wouldn't he become a joke to the entire world? Alliance leader, you must avenge me. Lei Yin didn't call him brother. Instead, she called him Alliance leader. She was extremely sorrowful. Bang! Where's my son? Which bastard dared to cripple my son's cultivation? Right at this moment, the Great Hall's door was directly knocked open. A figure rushed in and spoke furiously. Greetings, First Supreme Elder. If it was someone else who dared to rush into the Great Hall like this, they definitely wouldn't have a good ending. However, when they saw the person who had arrived, everyone immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. As for the First Supreme Elder, he didn't pay any attention to the others. He directly rushed to Lei Yin's side and began to examine her cultivation. However, when he saw that Lei Yin's cultivation had really been crippled, he immediately flew into a rage. Who did this? I want him to die a horrible death. Father, please calm down. First Supreme Elder, please calm down. When the Grozny Alliance leader and the others saw the furious First Supreme Elder, they all hurriedly spoke out. Alliance leader, I want to know how you're going to resolve this matter. The First Supreme Elder didn't give the Alliance leader any face and directly asked. Clearly, the crippling of his son had caused him to lose his rationality. When he saw the First Supreme Elder's reaction, the Grozny Alliance leader also hurriedly spoke out. Don't worry, father. I will tear that bastard into pieces to avenge my second brother. I will also turn the Tianyuan kingdom into a river of blood and make everyone hate him. When the First Supreme Elder heard his eldest son's words, he nodded his head in satisfaction. I hope you won't disappoint me. Father, I will immediately send someone to wash the Tianyuan kingdom with blood, the Grozny Alliance leader said. There's no hurry. The Alliance of 10's 100 Emperors Grand Competition is about to begin. You should deal with this matter first. This time, we must obtain a good ranking and show the might of the Grozny Alliance. The first Supreme Elder calmed down and said, Yes, Father. The Grozny Alliance leader nodded his head when he heard his father's words. At the same time, he also heaved a sigh of relief. This was because the Alliance of 10's 100 Emperors Grand Competition was extremely important. It concerned the future development of the Grozny Alliance. If they really dealt with Yi Hao, it would definitely delay the Alliance of 10's 100 Emperors Grand Competition. This was something he didn't wish to see. Chapter 12:47. Second Brother's Injury? The Alliance Master of the Grozny Alliance had a difficult expression on his face. If it was an ordinary person whose cultivation had been crippled, he might be able to do something about it. However, Lei was a spiritual supreme realm expert. Her cultivation was crippled, and it wasn't something that could be healed by ordinary pills. Even the Grozny Alliance would find it extremely difficult to heal Lei. What? This is your younger brother. Are you not willing to do it? The first Supreme Elder didn't seem to notice the difficult expression on the Alliance Master's face as he directly asked. Don't worry, Father. I will definitely think of a way to restore Second Brother's cultivation. The Alliance Master could only agree when he heard his father's words. Many thanks, Father. Many thanks, Big Brother. Lei revealed a joyful expression when she heard this. She knew that as long as her big brother promised her father, he would definitely do his best to accomplish it. Therefore, there was hope for her cultivation to be restored. Roar! It is indeed the Black Rock Mountain Range. It is indeed extraordinary. Yi Hao's face was filled with excitement as he listened to the endless mountain range in front of him that was tens of thousands of miles long. This was because this place was about to become a holy land for him to level up. Let's go in, Yi Hao said to Su Lai before he directly entered the mountain range. Whoosh! Just as Yi Hao and Su Lai stepped into the mountain range, a black shadow suddenly rushed towards Yi Hao. Master, be careful. When Su Lai saw this figure, he quickly blocked Yi Hao's path, following which he slashed out and sent the black shadow flying. Yi Hao immediately looked over and saw that it was actually a black spider. At this moment, there was a huge knife wound on its body and it was struggling on the ground. It was obvious that it didn't have long to live. Yi Hao naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. He immediately went forward and took the life of the black spider. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider. Cultivation Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. When Yi Hao heard the system's notification, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He had also heard that the Black Rock Mountain Range was terrifying, but he did not expect it to be so terrifying. It had to be known that he had just entered the Black Rock Mountain Range. He wasn't even in the outer area, and the magical beasts he met were all in the third rank of the spirit martial realm. It was fortunate that Su Lai was here. Otherwise, with his own cultivation base, he would have died the moment he entered the Black Rock Mountain Range. Whoosh! 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 While Yi Hao was still in shock, there were several sounds of something tearing through the air. Yi Hao quickly looked up. It's actually a swarm of black dead spiders. From all directions, there were countless black death spiders that were rushing over. Master, be careful. Even Su Lai felt his scalp tingle when he saw this scene. There were definitely hundreds of black death spiders in front of him. Although these black death spiders couldn't pose any threat to his life with his strength, they were still a threat to him. However, it would not be easy for him to deal with them. He would not be able to kill these black death spiders in a short period of time. And when he had to kill these black death spiders, it would undoubtedly be more difficult to protect Yi Hao. Don't worry about me. Use all your strength to injure these black death spiders. Don't kill them. Who knew that when Yi Hao saw these black death spiders, not only did he not have the slightest fear, his face actually showed excitement. After all, these were all experience points. Immediately after, Yi Hao summoned the Sky Battle Beasts. There were a total of 20 Sky Battle Beasts. 5 of them guarded around him, while the other 15 rushed out. When Su Lai saw this scene, he heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also rushed out towards the Black Death Spiders. Hiss! 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 Everywhere the Black Death Spiders were filled with the ear-piercing hissing sounds. These Black Death Spiders had many types of attacks. Some could spit out black spider webs, some could spit out black corrosive mucus, and some could use their sharp claws to attack. If it was an ordinary spiritual honorable realm expert, he would probably panic when he encountered such a situation. However, in front of Su Lai and these Sky Battle Beasts of the 3rd rank spiritual honorable realm, these Black Death Spiders of the spiritual martial realm were nothing to be afraid of. That's right. Recently, the Skyene spirit in Yi Hao's body was still devouring the earth demon black air, and its cultivation had already broken through. Therefore, the cultivation of these Skyene battle beasts had also improved greatly, and they had already reached the 3rd rank spiritual honorable realm. Under the attack of Su Lai and the Skyene battle beasts, in the blink of an eye, more than 10 Black Death Spiders had already fallen to the ground with serious injuries. Great! When Yi Hao saw these Black Death Spiders flying out, he instantly ran over excitedly, and Yi Hao naturally attracted the attention of many Black Death Spiders, who wanted to attack Yi Hao. However, under the protection of the 5 Sky battle beasts, those Black Death Spiders could not even get close to Yi Hao. At this moment, Yi Hao had already arrived in front of a seriously injured Black Death Spider. Hiss! The seriously injured Black Death Spider continuously screeched at Yi Hao, obviously threatening Yi Hao and telling Yi Hao to get lost. You're already seriously injured, and you still dare to be arrogant. Yi Hao looked at the Black Death Spider's arrogant appearance and directly stabbed it with his sword. Poochie! Yi Hao's long sword also directly ended the Black Death Spider's life. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm Level Up Elixir. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Black Death Spider's egg. It actually dropped something? When Yi Hao heard the system's notification, he was stunned and then delighted. Yi Hao looked into the system space and indeed saw a huge black egg. It should be the Black Death Spider's egg. Continue. Yi Hao immediately looked for a seriously injured target and directly rushed out. Poochie. When Yi Hao encountered the seriously injured Black Death Spiders, he did not waste any time, and with a sword, he killed them all. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. It actually didn't drop anything. Just now, 2 items had dropped. Now that nothing had dropped, Yi Hao could not help but feel that it was a pity. However, Yi Hao did not think too much about it. After all, there were so many Black Death Spiders waiting for him to kill. At this moment, there were 20 to 30 seriously injured Black Death Spiders on the ground. Yi Hao looked at the 20 to 30 Black Death Spiders and revealed a greedy look in his eyes because they would all become his experience points. Chapter 1248. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm Level Up Pill. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Black Death Spider Egg. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm Level Up Pill. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. For a moment, the system's notifications kept ringing in Yihao's mind. Sometimes there were 2 items dropped by the Black Death Spiders. Sometimes there was only 1 item, and sometimes there was nothing. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 Black Death Spiders were killed by Yihao. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up. Rank 8 Demon Emperor in front of you. Just as Yihao was about to rush out, the system's notification rang in his mind. I broke through so quickly. Yihao couldn't help but laugh when he heard the system's notification. He knew that the Black Rock Mountain Range was a holy place for leveling up, but he never thought that he would level up when he just arrived. This made him very excited. Therefore, after Yihao killed the Black Death Spiders, he worked even harder. Die. Yihao slashed out with his sword and killed a Black Death Spider. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm level up pill. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up. Rank 9 Demon Emperor. Haha, I leveled up again. After Yihao killed dozens of Black Death Spiders, the system's notification rang in his mind again. Hearing the system notification, Yihao was overjoyed. Yihao looked at the ground. Dozens of heavily injured Black Death Spiders had appeared. Once he killed them, he felt even better. At this moment, Su Lai and the Skyene Beast were still fighting against the Black Death Spider, and the surrounding Black Death Spiders seemed to be endless, attacking this side. We accidentally barged into the Black Dead Spider Cave. Yihao involuntarily exclaimed when he saw this scene. But I like it. These are all experience points. The more the better. Yihao chuckled. If other people saw that Yihao, a mere Demon Emperor martial artist, could still smile after seeing so many Black Death Spiders, they would definitely be taken aback. However, Yihao had Su Lai and the Skyene Battle Beast. With such powerful subordinates, he could kill these Black Death Spiders without fear. Therefore, at this moment, Yihao still could not see the slightest threat from these Black Death Spiders. Kill! Yihao roared again and began his diligent journey to gain experience points. Right now, Yihao is actually becoming more and more excited and nervous, because now he was already a 9th Order Demon Emperor. He was only 1 step away from reaching the 10th Order Demon Emperor, and as long as he broke through to the 10th Order Demon Emperor, he would not be far from the 1st Order Atman Body Realm. At that time, he would be a true spiritual practitioner. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. 3rd Order Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm leveling pill. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. 3rd Order Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Black Dead Spider egg. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. 3rd Order Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm leveling pill. Almost there, still 4 or 5 left. Yihao hunted the Black Death Spiders while observing his experience points. This time, after killing nearly 100 Black Death Spiders, Yihao looked at his almost full experience bar and couldn't help but feel excited. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up. Current cultivation is 10th Order Demon Emperor. Finally, after Yihao killed another 5 Black Death Spiders, the leveling up notification came as scheduled. Phew! Yi Hao directly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, his face full of joy. Although it was already late at night, in order to kill the Black Death spiders, his body was already covered in blood. But the harvest was also particularly rich. Just the cultivation alone had increased by 3 orders. If this news were to spread, it would definitely shock the world. And the items that dropped were not few in number. Just the spiritual martial realm leveling pills alone were close to 100. As for the Black Death spider's magical beast pills, the number was a little less, only 70 to 80. But don't underestimate the 70 to 80 magical beast pills. The value of the Black Death spider's magical beast pills was definitely not less than those leveling pills. After all, each magical beast pill of the Black Death spiders could hatch a level 3 spiritual martial realm Black Death spider. Maybe 1 or 2 Black Death spiders would be useless, but if there were dozens or hundreds of Black Death spiders, the combined power would definitely be huge. Continue. Although it was already late, it did not affect Yi Hao's vision at all. Moreover, the number of Black Death spiders around was still very terrifying. Su Lai and the Skyene beast, from the beginning to the end, did not stop fighting at all. Fortunately, the strength of Su Lai and the Skyene beast was far superior to the Black Death spiders. Therefore, Su Lai and the Skyene beast did not suffer any injuries. Excluding the dead Black Death spiders on the ground, the number of seriously injured Black Death spiders on the ground also reached more than 100. How was it possible? There are so many Black Death spiders. At this moment, Yi Hao could not help but exclaim in his heart. Obviously, the number of Black Death spiders had far exceeded his expectations. At the beginning, he had thought that the number of Black Death spiders that he would encounter would be 1 to 200 at most. But at this moment, he had already killed 1 to 200 Black Death spiders. The number of seriously injured Black Death spiders was not small either. At the same time, the number of Black Death spiders that were fighting with Linhua and the Skyene beast far exceeded the number of dead Black Death spiders. Chapter 1249. What's that sound? When Yi Hao heard this sound, he couldn't help but look over curiously, since this voice was able to stand out from the countless hissing sounds of the Black Death spiders. Then the owner of this voice was definitely not ordinary. Sure enough, when Yi Hao looked at the owner of the sound, he discovered that it was a Black Death spider that was 4 or 5 times larger than an ordinary Black Death spider. And this Black Death spider was emitting a terrifying aura. Even on its body, there was a layer of metallic scales. It looked like its defense was countless times stronger than an ordinary Black Death spider. Especially the spider's claws, they looked like they were made of black metal, emitting a cold light. This huge Black Death spider, at this moment, revealed a blood-red murderous light in its eyes as it directly attacked Su Lai. The gigantic Black Death spider's claws moved rapidly. The towering trees in front of it were, as if they were nothing. In an instant, they collapsed and turned into debris. Evil creature, you're courting death. Su Lai looked at the Black Death Spider King that was attacking him, but he was not the slightest bit nervous, because although the Black Death Spider looked very threatening, it was only at the peak of the spirit martial realm. How could it be his opponent? Shio shio shio. Hiss hiss hiss, the Black Death Spider King, while attacking Su Lai, spat out silk and corrosive mucus at Su Lai. The corrosive mucus landed on the ground and corroded a huge pit. Obviously, the strength of the Black Death Spider King was not something that ordinary Black Death spiders could compare to. When Su Lai saw this scene, he frowned. Although he was not afraid of the Black Death Spider King, he still felt disgusted when he saw the corrosive mucus that it spat out. Therefore, Su Lai quickly avoided the mucus and slashed at the Black Death Spider King. The Black Death Spider King's face was also filled with anger. It stretched out its sharp claws and grabbed at Su Lai's weapon. Clang! Su Lai's long saber, on top of the Black Death Spider King's claws, actually emitted a sound of metal colliding. However, it was clear that Su Lai's strength was stronger than the Black Death Spider. One of the Black Death Spider King's claws was almost cut off by Su Lai. Hiss hiss hiss. One of its claws was almost cut off. the Black Death Spider King immediately let out a painful and angry scream. Hiss, hiss, hiss. As the Black Death Spider King hissed, countless Black Death Spiders seemed to be under its command. At the same time, they quickly surrounded Sulai. The encirclement this time was clearly much more orderly than before when these Black Death Spiders attacked Sulai alone. These Black Death Spiders, at this moment, actually knew how to cooperate. Each of them actually knew how to advance and retreat. They weren't like before, where they attacked without fear of death. This Shunjia had greatly increased the Black Death Spider's attack power, causing Sulai to feel the pressure double. "Get out of my way!" Sulai shouted angrily, and a strong spiritual power came out. In an instant, the 3 Black Death Spiders were seriously injured and flew out. However, when these 3 Death Spiders flew out, 3 more Black Death Spiders instantly replaced them. They did not give Sulai any chance to breathe. Hiss! When the Black Death Spider King saw this scene, it was very satisfied with its command. It let out 2 joyful cries. "This evil beast is incredible." When Yihao saw this scene, he couldn't help but exclaim. After all, Sulai's strength was so strong. Now, he was actually unable to escape from a group of rank 3 spiritual martial realm Black Death Spiders. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the Black Death Spider King's command was. Yihao did not doubt that even an ordinary spiritual venerable realm expert would find it difficult to escape from this group of Black Death Spiders. "Sulai, kill that Black Death Spider King." Yihao immediately opened his mouth and shouted at Sulai, because at this moment, these Black Death Spiders were able to attack in such an orderly and coordinated manner. It was all because of the appearance of the Black Death Spider King. And as long as the Black Death Spider King was dealt with, this group of Black Death Spiders would once again become a plate of loose sand, and there would be nothing to fear. Yes, when Sulai heard Yihao's words, he also repelled several Black Death Spiders and looked at the Black Death Spider King again. Thinking of this, Sulai was about to leap up and directly attack the Black Death Spider King. Hiss, hiss, hiss. When the Black Death Spider King saw Sulai's gaze, it actually let out a few urgent hisses. And just as the Black Death Spider King's urgent hisses sounded, countless Black Death Spiders actually began to shoot silk into the air. In the blink of an eye, the silk that was shot out formed a huge net in the air above Sulai, blocking Sulai's flight. This evil creature is really too smart. Even Yihao couldn't help but exclaim when he saw this scene. This was obviously the Black Death Spider King. It knew that Sulai wanted to kill it, so it let the numerous Black Death Spiders spit out spider silk to block Sulai's path. Looking at the dense, huge net in the air, Sulai wanted to fly and kill the Black Death Spider King. It was obviously incomparably difficult. Hiss, hiss, hiss. At this moment, the Black Death Spider King let out several hisses again. Just as the Black Death Spider King's hisses fell, nearly 100 Black Death Spiders actually began to attack Yihao. It actually wants to attack me. When Yihao saw the Black Death Spider King's actions, he sneered disdainfully. Then, with a thought from Yihao, the 20 Sky Een battle beasts immediately stood around him, forming an impenetrable wall. Hiss, hiss. When the Black Death Spider King saw this scene, it immediately let out an angry roar. "Evil creature, it looks like I can't let you live." Yihao looked at the Black Death Spider King with a cold gaze. At this moment, the Black Death Spider King was also very smart, as if it was afraid that Sulai would sneak attack it. Its body was also surrounded by countless Black Death Spiders, and these Black Death Spiders were all spitting silk, forming a huge net to protect the Black Death Spider King's safety. The Black Death Spider King in the dark, with such a defensive method, even a spiritual supreme realm expert would find it difficult to kill it. But if it was not killed, all the Black Death Spiders would be under its command, which was obviously incomparably troublesome. Just like now, Sulai was attacked by so many Black Death Spiders at the same time, it was very difficult for him to escape in a short period of time. And under the protection of these Sky Een battle beasts, although his life would not be in danger for the time being, he could not be like before, where he could fearlessly kill the heavily injured Black Death Spiders to gain experience. Because at this moment, all the skying battle beasts were surrounded by the Black Death spiders like Sulai, and it was extremely difficult to break out. So the Black Death Spider King must be killed. Chapter 1250. What Yihao took out was naturally the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. At this moment, if he wanted to deal with the Black Death Spider King, he could only rely on the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. Although the probability of killing the Black Death Spider King was somewhat low, there was still a chance. It was worth a try. If the supreme Imperial Jade Seal did not kill the Black Death Spider King, he would have to think of another way. But to be honest, in his heart, he did not have much hope for the supreme Imperial Jade Seal, because there was still a gap between his cultivation base and the Black Death Spider King's cultivation base. Naturally, this greatly reduced the probability of killing the Black Death Spider King. Xiao. However, Yihao did not think so much and directly threw the supreme Imperial Jade Seal in his hand at the Black Death Spider King. When the Black Death Spider King saw the supreme Imperial Jade Seal thrown by Yihao, it immediately hissed in disdain. Its eyes were full of disdain. It did not believe that under the layers of protection and spider webs, this broken stone could do anything to it. However, in its hissing, there were still a few Black Death spiders spitting out spider silk, trying to stop the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. However, they had truly underestimated the supreme Imperial Jade Seal's 100% hit rate. The supreme Imperial Jade Seal, as if nothing, easily passed through all the spider webs. At the same time, it bypassed several Black Death spiders. The target was very accurate, smashing towards the Black Death Spider King. The Black Death Spider King also saw the strangeness of the supreme Imperial Jade Seal, and at this moment, it also began to scream in panic. Hearing the Black Death Spider King's hissing, countless Black Death spiders immediately spat silk at the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. However, the supreme Imperial Jade Seal was not hindered by the spider silk at all, and continued to smash towards the Black Death Spider King. When the Black Death Spider King saw this scene, a hint of fear appeared in its eyes. Immediately, it could be seen that the Black Death Spider King quickly fled, and the supreme Imperial Jade Seal, which was originally smashing straight towards the Black Death Spider King, immediately knelt down and smashed towards the Black Death Spider King. Obviously, the Black Death Spider King also discovered that the supreme Imperial Jade Seal had changed direction and was still smashing towards it, and immediately hissed again. Amidst the hissing of the Black Death Spider King, two Black Death spiders soared into the sky and rushed towards the seal. Clearly, this Black Death spider wanted to use itself to block the attack of the Imperial Jade Seal for the Black Death Spider King. When the Black Death Spider King saw the two Black Death spiders rushing towards the supreme Imperial Jade Seal, it let out a sigh of relief and stopped running. However, in the next second, he was stunned. Just as the supreme Imperial Jade Seal was about to smash into the bodies of the two Black Death spiders, the supreme Imperial Jade Seal actually changed its trajectory and avoided the two Black Death spiders. Bang! Bang! The two Black Death spiders were also stunned. The reason for that was because they were already prepared to be attacked by the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. At this moment, the two Black Death spiders fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, the Black Death Spider King let out a furious roar. This time, the Black Death Spider King was too lazy to escape. It roared furiously and charged towards the supreme Imperial Jade Seal. The Black Death Spider King directly spat out a mouthful of corrosive mucus. It wanted to corrode the supreme Imperial Jade Seal completely. However, the supreme Imperial Jade Seal was not afraid at all. It directly passed through the corrosive mucus without any casualties. This caused the Black Death Spider King to be extremely shocked. Because of its corrosive mucus, even a spiritual venerable realm expert would not be able to remain unharmed under its corrosive mucus. It had relied on this corrosive mucus alone to kill a spiritual, venerable realm demonic beast. Therefore, when it saw that the supreme Imperial Jade Seal could remain intact under its corrosive mucus, it was naturally extremely shocked. This also caused it to not dare to have the slightest bit of contempt. It immediately stretched out its sharp claws and attacked the supreme imperial jade seal. However, what caused it to be stunned was that the supreme imperial jade seal seemed to have grown eyes. It actually avoided its sharp claws and attacked its head. Seeing this scene, the Black Death Spider King immediately panicked and wanted to retreat. However, at this moment, it was so close to the supreme imperial jade seal. It was obviously too late to retreat now. The supreme imperial jade seal's speed suddenly increased and directly bombarded its head. The Black Death Spider King's body suddenly stiffened. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for punishing the death probability. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider King. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3 million experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 20 spiritual martial realm level up pills. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 8 Black Death Spider King demonic beast eggs. Since the death probability has been triggered, Yihao heard the system's prompt sound and his heart was immediately filled with joy. What made him even more pleasantly surprised was that the experience points obtained from killing the Black Death Spider King was far more than the same level of martial artists and demonic beasts. The only thing that surprised him was that this Black Death Spider King could actually drop 8 Black Death Spider King eggs. This made him extremely surprised. One must know that the Black Death Spider King eggs were countless times more precious than ordinary Black Death Spider King eggs. Now that he had received 8 of them, it naturally made him extremely pleasantly surprised. After the Supreme Imperial Jade Seal smashed the Black Death Spider King to death, it directly flew back to Yihao's hands. The Black Death Spider King's body also collapsed with a loud bang and lost its life force. Hiss, hiss, hiss. As soon as the Black Death Spider King died, all the Black Death Spiders immediately began to panic and let out bursts of hissing sounds. As for Su Lai, when he saw that the Black Death Spiders, which were originally attacking him in an orderly manner, were now in a mess, he also took the opportunity to directly kill a path through. Kill them for me. Yihao looked at the chaotic group of Black Death Spiders and directly saw them as lambs waiting to be slaughtered. He opened his mouth and shouted. 15 of the Sky Battle Beasts beside him directly rushed out, leaving 5 behind to protect his body. And Yihao did not stay idle. He began to attack the heavily injured Black Death Spider on the ground. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider King. Cultivation rank 3 spiritual martial realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 spiritual martial realm level up pill. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 Black Death Spider King egg. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider King. Cultivation rank 3 spiritual martial realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 spiritual martial realm level up pill. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 Black Death Spider King egg. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider King. Cultivation rank 3 spiritual martial realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. In a moment, the system's joyful voice suddenly resounded in Yihao's mind. And at that moment, many of the Black Death Spiders actually showed signs of wanting to escape. Chapter 1251. With a thought from Yihao, the 15 Sky Battle Beasts immediately ran to the periphery of the Black Death Spiders. Yihao ordered the 15 Sky Battle Beasts to attack the Black Death Spiders that tried to escape. This greatly reduced the number of Black Death Spiders that tried to escape. Seeing this, Yihao nodded his head in satisfaction. Yihao continued to kill the heavily injured Black Death Spiders. Looking at the number of Black Death Spiders in front of him, Yihao estimated that his level could probably increase by a few more levels. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm level up pill. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Ding dong. Yihao was killing the Black Death Spiders while listening to the system notifications in his mind, so he was not tired at all. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up. Level 1 Atman Body Realm. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a lottery draw. The reward this time is a little small. When Yihao heard the system notifications, he was excited and complained a little. Initially, he thought that the system would at least reward him with a military general for breaking through to the Atman body level. But he did not expect that it would only be a lottery draw. But thinking about it carefully, he had not drawn the lottery in a long time. He did not know what the prize would be like with his Atman body realm cultivation. But Yihao guessed that it would not be too bad. Yihao wanted to start the lottery draw immediately, but looking at the number of Black Death Spiders in front of him, he could only give up on that idea for now. Yihao could only continue to kill the Black Death Spiders. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a Black Death Spider. Level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm level up pill. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Black Dead Spider egg. After killing for nearly 5 days, the ground was already covered with the corpses of the Black Death Spiders, and the air was filled with the thick smell of blood. At this moment, there were only 10 Black Death Spiders left. You guys back off, Yihao said to the Sky-Ean beast, and rushed towards a Black Death Spider. They did not see wrongly. Yihao had left the protection of the heavenly Ean War beast and charged at a Black Death Spider alone. Can Master do it? At this moment, Sulai looked at Yihao. He was actually going to fight the Black Death Spider alone. He couldn't help but feel nervous. The reason for that was because that Black Death Spider was not a seriously injured Black Death Spider. Instead, it was a Black Death Spider that was completely unharmed. Therefore, he couldn't help but worry about Yihao's safety. But Yihao had given the order, so he couldn't do anything. But he still had a serious expression, staring at Yihao and the Black Death Spider. As long as there was something wrong, he would immediately take action. Get out of my way! Yihao roared and slashed at the Black Death Spider with his saber. Hiss. The Black Death Spider looked at Yihao with eyes full of disdain and anger. Obviously, the Black Death Spider looked down on Yihao. After all, Yihao had been hiding under the protection of the Sky-Ean War Beast before, which was why he was safe and sound. Moreover, Yihao had killed so many Black Death Spiders, which naturally made it furious. It wanted to kill Yihao to avenge the Black Death Spiders. The Black Death Spider's sharp claws fiercely pierced towards Yihao's head. Those razor-sharp claws definitely contained the power to split mountains and split rocks. Yihao was not afraid at all because his cultivation had reached level 3 Atman Body Realm. According to his cultivation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with a level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Bang! When the saber in Yihao's hand collided with the Black Death Spider's claws, a violent spiritual chi immediately spread out in all directions. When the saber and the claws collided, it immediately caused a huge explosion. Yihao was hit by a huge force, and his whole body was immediately pushed back a few steps. However, the Black Death Spider was not any better. A huge wound appeared on its body, and it also took a step back. When did Master become so powerful? When Su Lai saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. One must know that the Black Death Spider's strength was at level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Compared to ordinary demonic beasts of the same level, its strength was definitely not bad. At this moment, Yihao was actually able to injure the Black Death Spider, which meant that Yihao's strength was definitely at level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. However, we saw that Yi Hao's cultivation was only at level 3 Atman body realm. How could he not be shocked? Hiss, hiss, hiss. When the Black Death Spider was injured by Yi Hao, it immediately let out a furious roar. When you saw the Black Death Spider spit out a ball of corrosive mucus towards Yi Hao. When Yi Hao saw the Black Death Spider's actions, he didn't hesitate and hurriedly started to dodge. What a joke! He didn't want to be touched by this disgusting mucus. Moreover, with his strength, if he was touched by the mucus, it would still cause him harm. However, with his current speed, avoiding the mucus attack was naturally easy. After Yi Hao avoided the mucus, his speed suddenly increased and he attacked the Black Death Spider from behind. The Black Death Spider naturally also noticed Yi Hao's movements and hurriedly turned around, spitting out silk towards Yi Hao to wrap around him. When Yi Hao saw the silk spat out by the Black Death Spider, it formed a net and enveloped him. He immediately shouted, "Open for me!" On Yi Hao's broadsword, spiritual energy suddenly burst forth and directly tore apart the black silk spider web. At the same time, Yi Hao's entire body rushed towards the Black Death Spider. A trace of panic appeared in the Black Death Spider's eyes at this moment. It stretched out its sharp claws and clawed at Yi Hao. However, Yi Hao was already prepared, and he actually dodged the Black Death Spider's claws in advance. Puchi! The broadsword in Yi Hao's hand directly stabbed into the Black Death Spider's head. His entire movement looked like moving clouds and flowing water. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing the Black Death Spider. Level 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm level up pill. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Phew! When Yi Hao heard the notification in his mind, he also let out a mouthful of turbid air. Chapter 1252. Release Another One. Yi Hao looked at the remaining Black Death Spiders and said to the Sky Een Beast. The reason why he had kept these Black Death Spiders was to hone his fighting skills and experience. The Black Death Spiders released by the Sky Een Beast looked at Yi Hao. Their eyes filled with fear as they hissed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These Black Death Spiders were obviously unwilling to engage in close combat with Yi Hao, so they continued to spit out corrosive mucus. In an instant, nearly 10 balls of black mucus attacked Yi Hao. Insignificant skill. Yi Hao saw this scene. There was no trace of panic on his face. Instead, there was a trace of mockery. Then, Yi Hao moved his feet and nimbly avoided all the corrosive mucus. At the same time, he rushed in front of the Black Death Spiders. The Black Death Spiders had not expected Yi Hao to be so agile, and they quickly retreated. However, how could Yi Hao let them succeed? He increased his speed and stabbed the Black Death Spider's head with his sword. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a Black Death Spider. Rank 3 Spiritual Martial Realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Spiritual Martial Realm level up elixir. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a Black Death Spider egg. Not bad this time. Yi Hao heard the system's notification and was satisfied with the speed at which he had killed the Black Death Spiders. When Sulai saw that Yi Hao had killed the Black Death Spiders so easily, he was no longer worried about Yi Hao's safety after recovering from a shock. Sulai sat down cross-legged and started to recover his strength. Released 2 of them. Killing a Black Death Spider was no longer difficult for him. Therefore, Yi Hao was prepared to directly challenge 2 Black Death Spiders. Yi Hao ordered the Sky Een Beast. When they heard Yi Hao's order, the 2 Black Death Spiders immediately broke free from the Sky Een Beast's control. Hiss! The 2 Black Death Spiders hissed as they looked at Yi Hao. Come on, you 2 beasts! Seeing the 2 Black Death Spiders, Yi Hao was not afraid in the slightest. He took the lead and charged toward the 2 Black Death Spiders. Hiss hiss! The 2 Black Death Spiders saw Yi Hao rushing over. After a brief exchange, they directly rushed towards Yi Hao. The 2 Black Death Spiders did not spit out silk or mucus. Instead, they extended their sharp claws from both sides and attacked Yi Hao. "You're courting death." Yi Hao roared angrily. He activated the spiritual power in his body and slashed at the two black death spiders' claws. The violent spiritual energy directly swept towards the two black death spiders. Similarly, the bodies of the two black death spiders also carried strong spiritual energy as they charged towards Yi Hao. Bang! With a loud bang, the spiritual energy collided with each other, making a loud noise. Yi Hao and the two black death spiders retreated several steps at the same time. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The two black death spiders were very smart. The moment they retreated, they spat out corrosive mucus at the same time and attacked Yi Hao. When Yi Hao saw this scene, his eyes immediately narrowed. He hurriedly stabilized his body and dodged to the side. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The corrosive mucus missed and landed on the ground, immediately corroding a few pits. Yi Hao looked at the huge pits on the ground and could not help but feel a lingering fear. It seems that I can't be the slightest bit careless. This time, Yi Hao put away his contempt. With a serious expression, he once again rushed towards the two black death spiders. Hiss, hiss. It was obvious that the two black death spiders were angry when they saw that Yi Hao was fine. The two black death spiders also charged towards Yi Hao. Die. After a few rounds of fighting, Yi Hao seized the opportunity and directly stabbed his saber into the head of a black death spider. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a black death spider. Cultivation of rank 3 spiritual martial realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Yi Hao killed a black death spider. After seeing this scene, the other black death spiders' eyes immediately showed a hint of retreating. They saw that the black death spider actually gave up on attacking Yi Hao and turned around to escape. Want to escape? Can you escape? Yi Hao saw that the black death spider wanted to escape and immediately laughed mockingly. Then, Yi Hao's feet moved and he directly rushed out. With a slash of his saber, a strong spiritual power gushed out and directly blocked the black death spider's path of retreat. The black death spider's heart panicked and it hurriedly stopped its body. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The black death spider's path of retreat was blocked by Yi Hao and it also became incomparably angry. However, it could not hide the trace of fear and dread in its eyes. The black death spider hurriedly spat out silk, wanting to entangle Yi Hao. However, its actions were clearly a little too late. Yi Hao had already rushed in front of it. Poochie! The saber in Yi Hao's hand directly stabbed into its head. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing the black death spider. Cultivation rank 3 spiritual martial realm. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual martial realm leveling pill. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a black death spider's egg. Again, Yi Hao heard the prompt in his mind and did not rest. He continued to order the Sky In Battle Beast. The Sky In Battle Beast received Yi Hao's order and immediately released 2 more black death spiders. However, what surprised Yi Hao was that the 2 black death spiders seemed to be frightened and actually did not attack Yi Hao at all. After escaping the encirclement of the Sky In Battle Beast, they actually started to escape. Let's see if you can escape from my hands. Yi Hao looked at the 2 black death spiders running away, and a trace of an interested smile appeared on his face. He quickly chased after them. The 2 black death spiders only cared about escaping and completely forgot to fight back. Hence, very quickly, they were killed by Yi Hao and turned into Yi Hao's experience points. Yi Hao glanced at the remaining black death spiders and felt that it was meaningless. He directly let the Sky In Battle Beast cripple them, and then kill them to turn into his own experience points. Yi Hao glanced at the black death spider corpses and did not intend to waste them. He immediately took out the earth-terminating pearl. One had to know that the earth-terminating pearl could turn corpses into earth-terminating black chi. In a while, he would need a large amount of earth-terminating black chi. The moment the earth-terminating pearl appeared, Yi Hao's thoughts moved and all the Black Death spider corpses immediately disappeared into the earth-terminating pearl. A large amount of Black Death spider corpses instantly piled up into a small mountain. Traces of earth-terminating black chi surged out from the mountain of Black Death spiders. Not only did the Black Death spider corpses disappear, it was obvious that they had been refined into earth-terminating black chi by the earth-terminating pearl. Chapter 1253. Yi Hao quickly counted the number of black dead spider eggs and spirit martial realm leveling pills that had been dropped. There are actually 800 black dead spider eggs, 2,000 spirit martial realm leveling pills. After Yi Hao finished counting, he was also shocked. Not to mention the 800 black dead spider eggs. They could be turned into 800 magical beast pets of the third level of the spirit martial realm. And the 2,000 spirit martial realm leveling pills could be used to create more than 200 experts at the peak of the spirit martial realm. Perhaps 1 or 2 experts at the peak of the spirit martial realm were nothing. But if there were 1 or 200 experts at the peak of the spirit martial realm, the strength of the formation would be very terrifying. I don't know if it will succeed. Yi Hao directly took out a black dead spider egg. Yi Hao did not directly drip blood to form a contract. Instead, he drew a strange rune on the black dead spider egg. If one looked carefully, one would be able to see that as Yi Hao drew, there was a continuous stream of black gas in Yi Hao's hand that flowed into the black dead spider egg. This black gas was none other than the black gas in the Earth Fiend Pearl. The rune that he had now obtained was a heaven-defying cultivation technique from the Earth Fiend Black Gas technique. It was called Earth Fiend Rising Beast Taming Technique. This Earth Fiend Rising Beast Taming Technique had no other use. It only had one use. It could change the use of the Earth Fiend Black Gas, change the potential of the magical beast, and make the magical beast even stronger. However, this Earth Fiend Rising Beast Taming Technique had little effect on ordinary magical beasts. Moreover, the amount of Earth Fiend Black Gas consumed was also very large. However, if this Earth Fiend Rising Beast Taming Technique was used on the magical beast egg, the effect would be twice the result with half the effort. Therefore, what Yi Hao wanted to do now was to use this Earth Fiend Rising Beast Taming Technique to change the potential of these black dead spider eggs and make these black dead spiders even stronger. Ding dong! The potential of the black dead spider egg has increased. It has become an elite black dead spider egg. It can hatch an elite black dead spider at the 8th level of the spirit martial realm. Just as Yi Hao finished drawing the rune in his hand, a system notification sounded in his mind. I actually succeeded. Yi Hao was overjoyed when he heard the notification in his mind. But when he saw the changes in the black dead spider egg, he became even more ecstatic. According to the introduction of the Earth Fiend Black Gas technique, he knew that the Earth Fiend Soaring Beast Taming technique was very powerful. However, he did not expect the Earth Fiend Soaring Beast Taming technique to be so powerful. The black dead spider egg strength was at most at the 3rd Ling Qi layer. In a flash, it had reached the 8th Ling Qi layer. That was an incredible improvement. He could imagine that when he raised the strength of the 800 black dead spider eggs to the 8th level of the spirit martial realm, he would definitely be able to defeat all the black dead spiders. Thinking of this, Yi Hao immediately took out a few black dead spider eggs. With the initial operation, Yi Hao was even more proficient this time. Very quickly, he finished drawing the runes on a black dead spider egg. Ding dong! The potential of the black dead spider egg has increased. It has become an elite black dead spider egg. It can now hatch an elite black dead spider of the 8th rank of the spiritual martial realm. It really works. 2 eggs in a row were the same. This made Yi Hao completely relieved. He started to do his best to improve the potential of the black dead spider egg. Ding dong! The potential of the black dead spider egg has increased. It has become an elite black dead spider of the 8th rank of the spiritual martial realm. It can now hatch an elite black dead spider of the 8th rank of the spiritual martial realm. The system notification kept ringing in Yi Hao's mind. The number of improved black dead spider eggs around him kept increasing. Sulai saw that Yihao was constantly drawing some runes on the black dead spider eggs. This made him very curious and puzzled. He did not understand what Yihao was doing. However, after watching for a long time, he still could not understand what Yihao was doing. In the end, he had no choice but to quietly watch from the side. From his point of view, these eggs were all black death spider eggs. Although he did not know how Yihao had obtained them, he did not know. However, in his opinion, these eggs could at most hatch a black dead spider of the third rank of the spiritual martial realm. Could it be that Yihao could increase the cultivation of the demonic beasts by drawing runes casually on the eggs? Sulai watched until the end and was bored to death. He could only sit down cross-legged and cultivate. On the other hand, Yihao was still drawing runes on the black dead spider eggs with a face full of excitement. Phew! Yihao did not know how long he had been drawing before he stopped. In front of him, there were already 800 black dead spider eggs with runes drawn on them. In order to draw these eggs, Yihao had consumed a large amount of earth terminus black gas. Basically, all the black gas that had been refined from the black dead spider carcass had been used up. Let's contract it and see. Yihao could not help but feel a little excited. According to common sense, if one wanted to contract a demonic beast in the ancient demon realm, one would need a special medium, such as a beast tamer token or something like that. As for Yihao's beast tamer profession, he had not used it for a long time. It was still at the level of the 10,000 land continent. Therefore, the beast tamer skill could no longer be used. He needed to change to another high-level cultivation technique. Of course, in the ancient demon realm, it was undoubtedly very difficult to find a high-level beast tamer skill. Fortunately, in the Earth Terminus Black Gas technique, there was a beast tamer skill that complemented the Earth Terminus Rising Beast Tamer skill. Yihao immediately activated his spiritual chi and drew a beast tamer rune on a black dead spider egg. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for successfully contracting a black dead spider of the 8th rank of the spiritual martial realm. It is in the process of hatching. Ding dong, hatching complete. Crack, crack, crack. Following the 2 system notifications, the black dead spider in front of him directly cracked open. A black dead spider crawled out of it. However, this black dead spider looked much more ferocious than the black dead spider he had hunted before. On the body of this black death spider, there were some more densely packed black, jade-like scales. It seemed that it had greatly increased the black dead spider's defensive power. Moreover, the original black dead spider had 8 claws. At this moment, it had 2 more claws. Most importantly, these 2 extra claws had barbs, and on these barbs, there was a corrosive mucus dripping. The hatched black dead spider was not as big as the original one. However, this black dead spider, after devouring its own eggshell, its body gradually grew bigger. This is simply an improved version of the black dead spider. Yihao looked at the black dead spider in front of him, exuding the aura of the 8th rank of the spiritual martial realm. He was extremely satisfied. Just by looking at its appearance, it was several times stronger than the previous black dead spider. There was a kind of soul-sucking feeling that death was coming. Chapter 1254. Is this still a black death spider? Sulai looked at the black death spider in front of him and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Looking at the general appearance of the black death spider, there weren't any changes. But at this moment, regardless of whether it was cultivation or aura, the black death spider at this moment far surpassed the black death spiders that were killed before. This black death spider, how could it have become so strong? Sulai couldn't help but be curious. Could it be because of the runes that Master drew on the black death spider eggs just now? Other than this, Sulai really couldn't think of any other reason that could cause such a huge change in the black death spider. And at this moment, Yihao was constantly contracting the black death spider eggs. One by one, the strengthened black death spiders were constantly being hatched and devouring their own eggshells. So for a moment, there were all the sounds of eggshells being chewed. These black death spiders, after devouring their own eggshells, quietly waited at the side. Master, how can you be so strong? Sulai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. It wasn't because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, if he wanted to contract magical beasts, he could only contract a dozen or so at most. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that Master is also a beast tamer? Sulai thought of a possibility. Only a beast tamer, whose mental strength was far beyond ordinary people, could contract a large number of magical beasts. But after a moment, even Sulai couldn't help but be dumbfounded, because even a beast tamer couldn't be as abnormal as Yi Hao. At this moment, the number of magical beasts that Yi Hao had contracted had already reached nearly 100. Sulai looked at Yi Hao and found that Yi Hao was still full of energy, without any signs of exhaustion. Master, is he still human? Sulai was screaming in his heart at this moment. One by one, the strengthened black death spiders were being hatched and devouring their own eggshells. So for a moment, there were all the sounds of eggshells being chewed. These black death spiders, after devouring their own eggshells, quietly waited at the side. Master, how can you be so strong? Sulai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. It was not because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, if he wanted to form a contract with a magical beast, he would only be able to form a contract with a dozen or so magical beasts. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that the Lord is also a beast tamer? Sulai thought of a possibility. Only a beast tamer would be able to contract a large number of demonic beasts. But after a while, even Sulai could not help but be dumbfounded, because even if he was a beast tamer, he couldn't possibly be as crazy as Yi Hao. At this moment, the number of magical beasts that Yi Hao had contracted had already reached close to 100. Sulai looked at Yi Hao and realized that Yi Hao was still full of energy. There were no signs of fatigue at all. My lord, is he still human? At this moment, Sulai's heart was filled with strengthened black death spiders. They were constantly hatching and devouring their own eggshells. Therefore, for a moment, all that could be heard was the sound of chewing eggshells. After these black death spiders finished devouring their own eggshells, they quietly waited at the side. My lord, why are you so strong? Sulai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and could not help but secretly click his tongue. It was not because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, he could only contract a dozen magical beasts at most if he wanted to. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that the Lord is also a beast tamer? Sulai thought of possibility. Only a beast tamer would be able to contract a large number of demonic beasts. But after a while, even Sulai could not help but be dumbfounded, because even if he was a beast tamer, in the following minutes, every second, Sulai felt that his understanding was constantly being overturned and refreshed. He saw that Yi Hao was still tirelessly contracting black death spiders, and the number of black death spiders hatched was also constantly increasing. 100, 200, 300, 800. A total of 800 black death spiders were all hatched by Yi Hao. At this moment, Sulai was completely petrified. Sulai, now I want you to fight against these black death spiders. Can you do it? Yi Hao looked to the side and asked Sulai, whose face was full of shock. Sulai looked at the 800 black death spiders in front of him and could not help but swallow his saliva. Then, he quickly shook his head and said, I will definitely die. Sulai was absolutely speaking the truth, although his strength was far beyond these black death spiders. But even before, when he faced those rank 3 black death spiders, he only had the strength to protect himself. And now, the cultivation of these black death spiders had reached rank 8 spiritual martial realm. This was a huge increase. Sulai did not doubt that even if all these black death spiders did not come out, his life might be in danger. But it's still not enough. Yi Hao saw Sulai shake his head and could not help but laugh. Still not enough. When Su Lai heard Yi Hao's words, he was stunned and did not understand Yi Hao's meaning. Yi Hao looked at the 800 black death spiders in front of him, standing neatly in front of him. They were like a group of soldiers waiting to be inspected. Yi Hao directly took out the spiritual martial realm, leveling pills that had been dropped earlier, and said, "Each of you black death spiders can only eat 2 pills." Yi Hao said directly, although he was speaking directly, because these black death spiders had been contracted by him, they could naturally understand Yi Hao's words. When all the black death spiders heard Yi Hao's words, they actually started to pick up the pills on the ground in an orderly manner. None of the black death spiders took more pills, and none of them took less pills. These can't be. Su Lai looked at the pills in front of him and guessed in shock. However, he did not dare to say it out loud, because if these were all pills that could increase one's cultivation, that would be too terrifying. At that moment, many black death spiders quickly swallowed the pills when they received them. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the black death spiders' auras continuously rose. It's actually the spiritual martial realm barrier breaking pill. When Su Lai saw this scene, he was so shocked that he could not speak. One had to know that in his opinion, Yi Hao's barrier-breaking pill could increase one's cultivation unconditionally. It was already very powerful in itself. But now, Yi Hao was actually able to take out so many pills. How could he not be shocked? There were 800 black death spiders here, and each black death spider could get 2 pills. The total number of pills consumed by the black death spiders was no less than 1,600 pills. Chapter 1255. Is this still a black death spider? Su Lai looked at the black death spider in front of him and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Looking at the general appearance of the black death spider, there weren't any changes. But at this moment, regardless of whether it was cultivation or aura, the black death spider at this moment far surpassed the black death spiders that were killed before. This black death spider, how could it have become so strong? Su Lai couldn't help but be curious. Could it be because of the runes that Master drew on the black death spider eggs just now? Other than this, Su Lai really couldn't think of any other reason that could cause such a huge change in the black death spider. And at this moment, Yi Hao was constantly contracting the black death spider eggs. One by one, the strengthened black death spiders were constantly being hatched and devouring their own eggshells. So for a moment, there were all the sounds of eggshells being chewed. These black death spiders, after devouring their own eggshells, quietly waited at the side. "Master, how can you be so strong?" Su Lai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. It wasn't because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, if he wanted to contract magical beasts, he could only contract a dozen or so at most. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that Master is also a beast tamer? Su Lai thought of possibility. Only a beast tamer, whose mental strength was far beyond ordinary people, could contract a large number of magical beasts. But after a moment, even Su Lai couldn't help but be dumbfounded, because even a beast tamer couldn't be as abnormal as Yi Hao. At this moment, the number of magical beasts that Yi Hao had contracted had already reached nearly 100. Su Lai looked at Yi Hao and found that Yi Hao was still full of energy, without any signs of exhaustion. "Master, is he still human?" Su Lai was screaming in his heart at this moment. One by one, the strengthened black death spiders were being hatched and devouring their own eggshells. So for a moment, there were all the sounds of eggshells being chewed. These black death spiders, after devouring their own eggshells, quietly waited at the side. "Master, how can you be so strong?" Su Lai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. It was not because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, if he wanted to form a contract with a magical beast, he would only be able to form a contract with a dozen or so magical beasts. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that the Lord is also a beast tamer? Sulai thought of a possibility. Only a beast tamer would be able to contract a large number of demonic beasts. But after a while, even Sulai could not help but be dumbfounded. Because even if he was a beast tamer, he couldn't possibly be as crazy as Yi Hao. At this moment, the number of magical beasts that Yi Hao had contracted had reached close to 100. Sulai looked at Yi Hao and realized that Yi Hao was still full of energy. There were no signs of fatigue at all. My lord, is he still human? At this moment, Sulai's heart was filled with strengthened black death spiders. They were constantly hatching and devouring their own eggshells. Therefore, for a moment, all that could be heard was the sound of chewing eggshells. After these black death spiders finished devouring their own eggshells, they quietly waited at the side. My lord, how can you be so strong? Sulai looked at the gradually increasing number of black death spiders in front of him and could not help but secretly click his tongue. It was not because of anything else, but because everyone's mental strength was limited. Even with his current cultivation, if he wanted to contract a dozen magical beasts, he could only contract a dozen at most. If there were too many contracts, he would also feel uncomfortable. Could it be that the Lord is also a beast tamer? Sulai thought of a possibility. Only a beast tamer would be able to contract a large number of demonic beasts. But after a while, even Sulai could not help but be dumbfounded. Because even if he was a beast tamer, in the following minutes, every second, Sulai felt that his understanding was constantly being overturned and refreshed. He saw that Yi Hao was still tirelessly contracting the black death spiders. And the number of black death spiders hatched was also constantly increasing. 100, 200, 300, 800. A total of 800 black death spiders were all hatched by Yi Hao. At this moment, Sulai was completely petrified. Sulai, now I want you to fight against these black death spiders. Can you do it? Yi Hao looked to the side and asked Sulai, whose face was full of shock. Sulai looked at the 800 black death spiders in front of him and could not help but swallow his saliva. Then he hurriedly shook his head and said, I will definitely die. Sulai was absolutely speaking the truth, although his strength was far beyond these black death spiders. But even before, when he faced those rank 3 black death spiders, he only had the strength to protect himself. And now, the cultivation of these black death spiders had reached rank 8 spiritual martial realm. This was a huge increase. Sulai did not doubt that even if all these black death spiders did not come out, his life might be in danger. But it's still not enough. Yi Hao saw Sulai shake his head and could not help but laugh. Still not enough? When Sulai heard Yi Hao's words, he was suddenly stunned. He did not understand what Yi Hao meant. Yi Hao looked at the 800 black death spiders in front of him. At this moment, they were standing neatly in front of him. They were like a group of soldiers waiting to be inspected. Yi Hao directly took out the spiritual martial realm leveling pills that had been dropped earlier and said, each of you black death spiders can only eat 2 pills. Yi Hao directly opened his mouth and said, although he was speaking directly, because these black death spiders were contracted by him, they naturally could understand Yi Hao's words. When all the black death spiders heard Yi Hao's words, they actually started to pick up the pills on the ground in an orderly manner. None of the black death spiders took more pills, and none of them took less pills. These can't be. Sulai looked at so many pills in front of him and guessed in shock. However, he did not dare to say it out loud, because if these were all pills that could increase cultivation, it would be too terrifying. At this moment, many of the black death spiders hurriedly consumed the pills when they received them. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the black death spiders' auras continuously rose. It's actually the spiritual martial realm barrier breaking pill. When Sulai saw this scene, he was already so shocked that he could not speak. One had to know that in his opinion, Yi Hao's barrier breaking pill could increase the cultivation of a person or a demonic beast unconditionally. It was already very powerful in itself. But now, Yi Hao was actually able to take out so many pills. How could he not be shocked? There are 800 black death spiders here, and each black death spider could be divided into 2 pills. Chapter 12:56. The girl panicked. She had never expected that the senior brother she trusted would suddenly attack her at such a critical moment. The girl wanted to dodge, but it was obviously impossible. Bang! The youth's palm landed on the girl's back. Puff! The girl felt her blood boil as she spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Senior brother, the girl looked at the youth in disbelief. She did not understand why her senior brother would attack her. Junior sister, you can't blame me for this. I can only use you to buy some time. Don't worry, I won't forget you. The youth smiled sinisterly as he spoke and quickly turned to leave. The girl looked at the youth's back as he left, her eyes filled with sadness and helplessness. It's over. I'm really going to die here today, the girl said in despair. She could already feel that the blue explosion tiger was getting closer and closer to her. It was already very difficult for her to escape from the blue explosion tiger. Moreover, she was now seriously injured. It was impossible for her to escape from the blue explosion tiger. Roar! The blue explosion tiger soon appeared a dozen meters away from her and roared. The girl felt the violent and powerful aura from the blue explosion tiger, and her face turned ashen. The blue explosion tiger looked at the girl with bloodthirsty eyes as it slowly approached her. Am I, Shin, really going to be torn apart by this blue explosion tiger? The girl looked at the blue explosion tiger's sharp teeth and saw saliva dripping out. She panicked even more. No, even if I die, I won't be bitten to death by this blue explosion tiger. Shin suddenly thought of something as he pulled out his short sword and wanted to kill himself. She could not bear to be bitten to death by the blue explosion tiger. What a miserable ending that would be. She might as well kill herself. At least she could get some pain. Beat him down for me. Just as Shin was about to commit suicide, a domineering voice suddenly sounded. Shin's eyes lit up when he heard this voice. His eyes flashed with hope. At this moment, the 2 sky beasts attacked the blue explosion tiger. The blue eruption tiger looked at the 2 sky battle beasts with a hint of fear in its eyes. Roar! The blue eruption tiger roared. Although it was afraid, it didn't back down. It roared and charged at the 2 heavenly spirits. What kind of joke was this? No matter what, he was the overlord of this area and had the strength of a first-level spiritual elder. However, when he fought with the 2 heavenly battle beasts, he was shocked. This was because he knew that he was no match for the 2 sky battle beasts. The attacks of the 2 sky battle beasts landed on his body, instantly putting him at a disadvantage. Wounds began to appear on his body. So strong. Shin watched as the powerful blue eruption tiger was suppressed by the 2 sky beasts. His mouth gaped open in shock. Roar! Roar! The following scene was simply a battle of abuse. The 2 sky beasts were basically grinding the blue eruption tiger against the ground. The blue eruption tiger cried out in pain, and in the end, it fell to the ground heavily injured. Yihao looked at the fallen blue explosion tiger and immediately leaped forward to harvest its experience. After all, this was a first-level spiritual elder demonic beast, so he could still get a lot of experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a first-level spiritual elder blue explosion tiger. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10 million experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for gaining a spiritual elder level-up pill. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for completing the task of saving Shin. You have gained the task reward. Alchemist experience points increased. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for becoming an Atman Body Realm Alchemist. The harvest isn't bad. Yihao nodded with satisfaction. He didn't save Shin this time to be a hero saving a damsel in distress. It was for the system's task. As long as he saved Shin, his alchemist profession would be upgraded to the Atman Body Realm. He hadn't used his alchemist profession for a long time, so its level was very low. However, he hadn't had the time to practice it. He had wanted to find some time to practice his alchemist profession, but he didn't expect that his alchemist profession would be upgraded to the Atman body realm. Without a doubt, this saved him a lot of trouble. After Yi Hao killed the blue explosion tiger and put away its corpse, he was about to leave in a hurry. This was because the Black Death Spider Kings had sent him a message telling him that the Black Death Spiders had captured many demonic beasts and were waiting for him to kill them. Thinking that his experience points and level would soar again, Yi Hao didn't want to waste any more time. "Hey you." Xin looked at Yi Hao and was about to thank him, but she didn't expect Yi Hao to leave without looking back after killing the blue explosion tiger. This made Xin a little confused for a moment. She couldn't help but wonder if she had become invisible and Yi Hao couldn't see her. Or was it that her charm had disappeared and she couldn't attract a man anymore? This was the first time in Xin's life that she doubted her charm. This was because she had always been confident in her appearance. She was definitely the cream of the crop and was sought after by countless people. However, at this moment, Yi Hao had actually completely ignored her. She couldn't help but feel a little stunned. However, Xin didn't get angry because she knew that the young man before her was her savior. "Wait a minute." Xin hurriedly stopped Yi Hao when she saw that he was really about to leave. "What's wrong? Is there something else?" Yi Hao couldn't help but ask when he heard Xin's words. However, there was a hint of anxiety in his tone. After all, many of the demonic beasts captured by the Black Death Spiders had been severely injured. Time was money now. If those heavily injured demonic beasts died, it would be a waste of time. In Xin's opinion, Yi Hao's anxious tone meant that he was impatient to talk to her. Xin thought that even if her charm couldn't move Yi Hao, it shouldn't make Yi Hao hate her so much. However, when she saw Yi Hao's gaze, Xin hurriedly said, It's nothing. I just want to thank you for saving me." "Oh." Yi Hao nodded. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first." Yi Hao didn't wait for Xin to react before he turned around and started to leave. The few lunar beasts and Su Lai immediately followed behind Yi Hao. Only Xin was left standing on the spot in confusion. What a strange person. Xin couldn't help but mutter. Chapter 1258. However, it was different now. These were two powerful magical beasts fighting each other. If they could reap the benefits and kill those two magical beasts, they would be rich. "Let's go and take a look," one of them said with an excited expression, because as long as it was a magical beast above the Spirit Supreme realm, it was worth trying their luck. Hearing this person's words, the rest of the people also nodded and rushed towards the direction of the roaring magical beasts. At the same time, many hunting teams also rushed towards the direction of the magical beasts. "Master, it seems like there are spirit heaven realm magical beasts fighting." Hearing the roar and the spirit energy fluctuations in the direction of the roar, Su Lai's expression turned serious. "Spirit heaven realm magical beasts." Yi Hao's eyes lit up when he heard Su Lai's words, because Su Lai's current strength had already reached the 10th level of the Spirit Supreme realm. But if he wanted Su Lai to continue breaking through, it would definitely be impossible in a short period of time. Therefore, only the Spirit Heaven Realm leveling pill could allow Su Lai to increase his cultivation. However, he currently didn't have any Spirit Heaven Realm leveling pills in his hands. And if he wanted to obtain the Spirit Heaven Realm leveling pills, it would be very difficult to kill a Spirit Supreme Realm magical beast. Therefore, only by killing a Spirit Heaven Realm magical beast would the chances of the Spirit Heaven Realm leveling pills dropping increase. With his current strength, it wasn't impossible to kill a Spirit Heaven Realm magical beast with Su Lai and the numerous Black Death Spiders. However, he could only kill a lower-level Spirit Heaven Realm magical beast. Even so, he would probably suffer heavy losses. As for his original plan, he would first raise the cultivation of the 8 Black Death Spider Kings to the peak of the Spirit Heaven Realm before looking for lower-level magical beasts. But now, 2 Spirit Heaven Realm magical beasts had actually appeared in front of him. This was an opportunity that had been delivered to his doorstep. Let's go take a look. Yi Hao waved his hand and placed all the Black Death spiders into the Earth Fiend Pearl. Of course, Yi Hao only placed the Black Death spiders in a corner of the Earth Fiend sect. At the same time, he divided the space within the Earth Fiend Pearl into two, because he was also worried that he would disturb those old monsters that were still alive in the Earth Fiend Pearl. At least for now, those old monsters were definitely not people he could provoke. After making arrangements for the Black Death spider, Yi Hao and Su Lai sped towards the direction of the Demon Beast battle. Just as Yi Hao placed the Black Death spider into the Earth Emanations Pearl. Inside the Earth Fiend Pearl, there was already an uproar. I seem to have sensed that the Earth Emanations Pearl was open just now. Some life forms entered the Earth Emanations Pearl. I have the same feeling as well. But the strange thing is, why can't I sense anything entering the Earth Fiend Pearl? There's no need to search anymore. It should be that the current owner of the Earth Fiendish Pearl separated the space within the Earth Fiendish Pearl. That's why we won't be able to find those things that entered here. However, the owner of this Earth Fiendish Pearl is really cunning. This time, he actually did not put his consciousness into the Earth Fiendish Pearl. Then what do we do now? If he doesn't put in his consciousness, how are we going to negotiate with him? Sigh. There's no other way. I can only continue to wait. At this moment, everyone was frowning. Although they had been here for a long time, they could not leave. They really had no other choice. However, even if they could not leave, they could still cultivate. They could rely on cultivation to pass the time. After all, in the eyes of cultivators, time flew. As long as they cultivated, they would forget about the concept of time. But now, Yi Hao had taken drastic measures to remove the Earth Fiendish black aura from the Earth Fiendish Pearl. They could not sense any Earth Fiendish black aura at all. This also meant that they could not cultivate at all. They could still hold on for a day or two. However, a few months had passed. It was like this every day. They had been staring at each other like this for a long time. It was really boring. Therefore, they really wanted to leave this place now. Even if Yi Hao did not want them to leave, at least he would give them some Earth Fiendish black aura so that they could cultivate to pass the time. However, if they wanted to do this, they naturally had to negotiate with Yi Hao. However, Yi Hao's consciousness did not enter the Earth Fiendish Pearl. There was no way for them to negotiate with Yi Hao. This made them very anxious. However, no matter how anxious they were, there was nothing they could do. Even if I have to follow the current owner of the Earth Fiendish Pearl, I don't want to stay in this godforsaken place anymore. Suddenly, someone said with a bitter face, "Haha, if the owner of the Earth Fiendish Pearl was just a young fellow, you would be willing too. Aren't you afraid of losing face? That's right. Why don't you take a look at your current cultivation level? I saw that kid's consciousness the last time. It seems like he only has the cultivation level of a demon emperor." Huh, the group of people immediately started to mock him. Obviously, they were so bored that they could casually pick a topic and discuss it for half a day. Even if it's a demon emperor, I will accept it. It's better than staying in this godforsaken place and waiting for death. When that person heard the mockery, he said coldly, "Don't tell me that you don't want to leave. Compared to staying in this godforsaken place, what's the use of losing face?" Hearing this person's words, the entire place fell silent. Everyone looked at each other. Obviously, this person's words were also what they were thinking. They just did not express it. Roar, 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 bang, rumble, bang. Yi Hao and He Su Lai were also close to the place where the two demon beasts were fighting. The roars of the demon beasts and the sounds of the two demon beasts fighting could be heard continuously. Yi Hao also realized that there were many people in the surroundings who were heading towards the place where the demon beasts were fighting. Many people were shocked when they saw Yi Hao and He Su Lai appear. This was because, in their opinion, Yi Hao and He Su Lai looked simply too young. Running to the Black Rock Mountain Range at such a young age, wasn't this courting death? Sigh. People nowadays are getting more and more reckless. What kind of place do they think the Black Rock Mountain Range is? Luckily, for some unknown reason, the number of demon beasts in the Black Rock Mountain Range has inexplicably decreased recently. Otherwise, they would have died long ago. That's right. Look at these two kids. Even if they were two spiritual martial realm demon beasts, I think they could kill them. These two kids still dare to come here. Could it be that they want a share of the loot? Hee hee, a piece of trash that doesn't know the difference between life and death. Many people looked at Yi Hao and He Su Lai and mocked them with disdain. They wondered if they would still dare to speak like this if they knew that Yi Hao was the one who reduced the number of demon beasts in the Black Rock Mountain Range. Chapter 1260. Yi Hao wasn't surprised that the two beasts had discovered him. However, the angry roar that was directed at him made his scalp tingle. However, he still gritted his teeth and stabbed at one of the beasts. Yi Hao aimed at the huge wound on the demonic beast's neck and stabbed it directly. Poochie! The large blade in Yi Hao's hand stabbed into the beast's neck, causing blood to spurt out instantly. Roar! The beast roared unwillingly because it felt that its life force was constantly dissipating. Obviously, it didn't expect that it would die in the hands of a weak ant. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for killing a Spirit Heaven Realm Level 1 beast. Congratulations to host for obtaining 10 million experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for obtaining a Spirit Heaven Realm Level Up pill. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for obtaining a purple gold tiger egg. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for leveling up to level 10 of the Atman body realm. Uproar! The purple gold tiger's body directly collapsed and smashed into the ground, causing a violent explosion. Hiss! This kid actually killed the purple gold tiger. Heavens! Even if the purple gold tiger is heavily injured, it is still a Spirit Heaven Realm Level 1 beast. Oof, what's so great about that? It's just dog shit luck. Just watch. The remaining purple gold leopard isn't that easy to deal with. That's right. This kid was lucky to be able to kill the purple gold tiger. I don't believe that he can kill the purple gold leopard. When the crowd saw that Yi Hao was actually able to kill the purple gold tiger in one strike, many of them were shocked. However, there were also many people who had a look of disdain on their faces. Obviously, in their opinion, Yi Hao had only relied on luck to kill the purple gold tiger. It was absolutely impossible for him to be so lucky to deal with the remaining purple gold leopard. When Yi Hao heard the notification in his mind, he confirmed that he didn't have time to care. Instead, he turned around and rolled to the side. Boom! The purple gold leopard's attack instantly landed on the spot where Yi Hao was just a moment ago. A huge pit instantly appeared where Yi Hao was just a moment ago. Ha, I told you. This kid is digging his own grave. Someone mocked when he saw Yi Hao's pathetic state. Just wait and see. In the hands of the purple gold leopard, this kid is dead for sure. When Yi Hao heard the mocking laughter coming from all around, he could not help but reveal a cold smile. Is that so? Yi Hao stood up and gave up on attacking the purple gold leopard. Instead, he fled into the forest. That escape movement was not sloppy in the slightest. It was done in one breath. Yi Hao's escape had taken everyone by surprise, and they were unable to react in time, wondering what was going on. Why did this brat suddenly run away? It seems that they don't even want the body of the purple gold tiger. What the hell is he doing? Don't tell me that he did it just to kill the purple gold tiger. What kind of enmity does the purple gold tiger have with him? What kind of enmity does he have with the purple gold tiger to make him take such a risk? Everyone was stunned. Their minds were filled with confusion. At first, everyone thought that Yi Hao had attacked because he couldn't resist the temptation of the two corpses. But now, Yi Hao had escaped after killing the purple gold tiger. He didn't even want the body of the purple gold tiger. They couldn't understand why Yi Hao had attacked the purple gold tiger. Obviously, even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that Yi Hao had attacked to kill the purple gold tiger, because they would never know that there was something called the system in this world. Not only could one obtain experience points by killing demonic beasts, but they could also drop items. Roar! The purple gold leopard roared when it saw the direction Yi Hao had escaped. Originally, the purple gold leopard wanted to chase after him. But when it saw the injuries all over its body, it stopped in its tracks. The purple gold leopard looked at the purple gold tiger and revealed a greedy look. Then it opened its bloody mouth. Oh no, that purple gold leopard wants to eat the purple gold tiger. Damn it. Obviously, no one had thought that things would turn out like this. Originally, they thought that they didn't have to attack the two demonic beasts and could just sit back and reap the benefits. But now it was obviously impossible. If they didn't attack, it was very likely that the purple gold tiger would be eaten by the purple gold leopard. Moreover, they couldn't guarantee that the purple gold leopard wouldn't recover from its injuries after eating the purple gold tiger. It's all that damn brat's fault. At this moment, the hearts of many people were filled with dissatisfaction toward Yi Hao. If we don't attack now, no one will be able to get these two beasts. Just as everyone was hesitating, someone shouted, "Kill the purple gold leopard first. Then we'll figure out how to split these two beasts." Another person stood out and shouted, "Okay, I agree." In an instant, many people rushed toward the purple gold leopard. Obviously, these two demonic beasts were definitely a fatal temptation to them. Roar! The purple gold leopard wanted to eat the purple gold tiger, but it didn't expect that so many ants would come to their deaths and delay it. However, although the purple gold leopard was angry, there was still a hint of fear in its eyes. If it was at its peak, it naturally wouldn't put these ants in its eyes. But it was different now because it was also seriously injured, so it had no choice but to be cautious. At this moment, everyone's attacks were about to arrive. Roar! The purple gold leopard roared again, and a violent spiritual energy swept out. At the same time, the purple gold leopard's entire body rushed out. Bang! A person was sent flying by the purple gold leopard's violent spiritual energy and turned into a bloody mist. The purple gold leopard bit down on a person and swallowed him. It raised its claws and attacked another person's body. That person was hit by the purple gold leopard's sharp claws, and his body instantly shattered. Hiss! Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Although the purple gold leopard was seriously injured, its cultivation of the first level of the spiritual heaven realm was indeed extraordinary. The purple gold leopard was actually able to kill 3 people in an instant under the siege of so many people. It could be seen how powerful it was. However, benefits would obviously make people lose their minds. Although everyone saw how powerful the purple gold leopard was, not a single person gave up on attacking the purple gold leopard. Everyone's attacks also left countless wounds of various sizes on the purple gold leopard's body. Everyone do your best. Don't give this beast a chance to breathe. A person hurriedly shouted. Everyone also held their breaths and prepared to continue attacking the purple gold leopard. Roar! The purple gold leopard felt that countless wounds had appeared on its body. It roared angrily again and pounced towards the people around it. In an instant, several people couldn't dodge in time and died. Chapter 1261. Master, are you all right? Sulai looked at Yi Hao beside him and asked with a face full of worry. One had to know that when he saw Yi Hao kill the purple gold tiger, it had given him a huge fright. After all, that was a magical beast at the first level of the spirit heaven realm. Yi Hao killing the purple gold tiger was filled with danger. "I'm fine." Yi Hao smiled and waved his hand. Clearly, he was still in the joy of leveling up. He did not expect that killing the purple gold tiger would actually allow him to level up. Most importantly, it even dropped a spirit heaven realm level up pill and a purple gold tiger egg. This was definitely not a waste of his risk this time. Yi Hao's gaze once again landed on the purple gold leopard that was surrounded by everyone. Now, Yi Hao saw the purple gold leopard and attacked everyone. Everyone's attention was focused on the purple gold leopard. Yi Hao immediately moved and rushed towards the purple gold leopard. When Sulai saw this, he also hurriedly followed. Die! Yi Hao saw the opportunity and slid under the purple gold leopard's body. The broadsword in Yi Hao's hand directly tore apart the purple gold leopard's stomach and pierced through its heart at the same time. Woo! The purple gold leopard whimpered unwillingly. Even in death, it did not expect that someone would sneak under its body. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing the purple gold leopard. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 million experience. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Spirit Heaven Realm Level Up Pill. It's a pity that I didn't get the purple gold leopard egg. When Yihao heard the system's notification, he said with some regret, "The purple gold leopard is actually dead?" Just when everyone was still on guard, they saw that the purple gold leopard had actually lost its level. They couldn't help but be stunned. It's that kid again. At this moment, someone suddenly saw Yihao walk out from under the purple gold leopard's body and couldn't help but exclaim. At this moment, everyone looked at each other in dismay. They couldn't help but wonder what kind of freak Yihao was. These two magical beasts of the first level of the spiritual heaven realm had both died in the hands of Yihao. Although the two demonic beasts were seriously injured, even they wouldn't be able to kill them so easily. Under everyone's gaze, Yihao waved his hand and collected the two magical beast corpses. He then turned to leave. Wait a minute. Just as Yihao was about to leave, he suddenly shouted out, "What? Is something the matter?" Yihao looked at the person who spoke and asked indifferently, "You can leave, but leave the corpses of the two magical beasts behind." That person said coldly, "That's right, the people can leave, but the magical beast must stay. If you don't leave the demonic beast behind, don't even think about leaving this place today." Brat, you actually want to monopolize the corpses of two spirit heaven realm magical beasts? Aren't you being too greedy? If you want to be greedy, you'll have to see if you have such a big appetite. Everyone agreed and looked at Yihao as if they were facing a formidable enemy. It was as if they would attack Yihao at the slightest disagreement. What kind of joke was this? They were all people who licked blood on the tip of their blades. And they had come here for the corpses of these two spirit heaven realm magical beasts. But now that Yihao wanted to take away the corpses of the two magical beasts, how could he agree? It seems like I was the one who killed these two magical beasts, right? When Yihao heard everyone's words, he laughed instead of getting angry. So what? One of them snorted coldly in disdain. One had to know that there were at least 100 people here. He didn't believe that Yihao would dare to go against so many people. "Looks like you guys want to snatch it by force," Yihao asked in a calm and unhurried manner. "You can choose not to hand it over, but today you must die here," that person said arrogantly. Walala. At this moment, another group of people, dozens of people, rushed over. "Which dog dares to kill my Black Wind Group's people?" The leader of the group, a burly man, shouted, "It's the Black Wind Group's people. Why are the Black Wind Group's people here? Could it be that they are also here to fight for the corpses of the magical beasts?" Seeing the newcomers, many people present immediately revealed nervous expressions. After all, the Black Wind Group had quite a reputation in the Black Rock Mountain Range. Ordinary people definitely wouldn't dare to provoke the Black Wind Group. So when they saw the Black Wind Group's people appear, many people immediately felt as if they were facing a great enemy. "Leader, it's that dog and his people who killed our people," one of them directly said to Yihao. At this moment, someone immediately leaned over and whispered into the Black Wind Group's leader's ear, causing the leader's eyes to immediately light up. "Everyone, this dog killed my Black Wind Group's people. I'm going to take him away now." After the Black Wind Group's leader finished speaking, he didn't wait for anyone to react and wave his hand. "Men, do it." "Wait a moment. You can take him away, but there are some things that you have to leave behind." At this moment, a voice rang out. Hearing this voice, the Black Wind Group's leader immediately frowned. He didn't expect that there would be someone who dared to not give him face. He also just found out that Yihao had actually obtained the corpses of the two magical beasts. So, he changed his mind about directly killing Yihao and instead wanted to take Yihao away. In the end, it was all for the sake of obtaining the two magical beasts and keeping them for himself. Who dares to not give face to my Black Wind Group? The Black Wind Group's leader said coldly as he looked at the person who spoke. Others might be afraid of your Black Wind group, but I'm not. The dragon capturing group's leader coldly snorted. When the Black Wind group's leader saw that the person who opposed him was actually his old rival, he coldly snorted and said, "What? Could it be that your dragon capturing group wants to start a war with my Black Wind group?" So, he changed his mind about directly killing Yi Hao and instead wanted to take Yi Hao away. In the end, it was all for the sake of obtaining the two magical beasts and keeping them for himself. Who dares to not give face to my Black Wind group? The Black Wind group's leader said coldly as he looked at the person who spoke. "Oomph. Others might be afraid of your Black Wind group, but I'm not." The dragon capturing group's leader coldly snorted. When the Black Wind group's leader saw that the person who opposed him was actually his old rival, he coldly snorted and said, "What? Could it be that you?" So, he changed his mind about directly killing Yi Hao and instead wanted to take Yi Hao away. In the end, it was all for the sake of obtaining the two magical beasts and keeping them for himself. Who dares to not give face to my Black Wind group? The Black Wind group's leader said coldly as he looked at the person who spoke. "Oomph. Others might be afraid of your Black Wind group, but I'm not." The dragon capturing group's leader coldly snorted. Chapter 1262. The expression of the leader of the Black Wind group turned even uglier. In the end, what he was most worried about had happened. If they were dealing with the Dragon Catcher group, the Black Wind group was not afraid at all. However, the Dragon Catcher group was not the only group here. There were so many people here. With all these people together, even he would have to think twice. The leader of the Black Wind group looked at the leader of the Dragon Catcher group with a ferocious gaze. He really regretted not getting rid of the Dragon Catcher group earlier. If he had done so, the Dragon Catcher group would not have been able to delay his plan. How about this? The Black Wind group will take this kid and the purple gold tiger. You can split the rest of the purple gold leopard among yourselves. This is the bottom line of the Black Wind group. If you don't agree, we can only compete. After thinking for a moment, the leader of the Black Wind group made a difficult decision and said, to be honest, he was extremely unwilling to give up the purple gold leopard. However, looking at the greedy gazes of the crowd, he knew that it was impossible for him to take everything today. Therefore, he could only bear the pain and give up a portion of the benefits. After the leader of the Black Wind group finished speaking, the entire Black Wind group was ready for battle. When the crowd saw this, they started to discuss among themselves. After all, they did not want to be enemies with the Black Wind group. After all, the Black Wind group was famous. If they were to fight with the Black Wind group, they would not have a good time either. The leader of the Black Wind group had an even uglier expression. In the end, what he was most worried about had happened. If they were dealing with the Dragon Catcher group, the Black Wind group was not afraid at all. However, the Dragon Catcher group was not the only group here. There were so many people here. With all these people together, even he would have to think twice. The leader of the Black Wind group looked at the leader of the Dragon Catcher group with a ferocious gaze. He really regretted not getting rid of the Dragon Catcher group earlier. If he had done so, the Dragon Catcher group would not have been able to delay his plan. How about this? The Black Wind group will take this kid and the purple gold tiger. You can split the rest of the purple gold leopard among yourselves. This is the bottom line of the Black Wind group. If you don't agree, we can only compete. After thinking for a moment, the leader of the Black Wind group made a difficult decision and said, to be honest, he was extremely unwilling to give up the purple gold leopard. However, looking at the greedy gazes of the crowd, he knew that it was impossible for him to take everything today. Therefore, he could only bear the pain and cut out a portion of the profits. After the leader of the Black Wind group finished speaking, the entire Black Wind group was ready for battle. When the crowd saw this, they began to discuss among themselves. After all, to be honest, they did not want to be enemies with the Black Wind group. After all, the reputation of the Black Wind group was still there. If he was really the leader of the Black Wind group, his expression would be even more unsightly. In the end, what he was most worried about had happened. If they were to deal with the Dragon Catcher group, the Black Wind group was not afraid at all. However, it wasn't just the Dragon Catchers here. There were so many people here as well. With all these people together, even he would have to think twice. The leader of the Black Wind group looked at the leader of the Dragon Catchers group with a ferocious look in his eyes. Xiao Chun truly regretted not getting rid of the Dragon Capturing group earlier. If he had gotten rid of the Dragon Capturing group earlier, the Dragon Capturing group would not have been able to delay his plans. How about this? Our Black Wind group will take this brat and the Purple Gold Tiger. As for the rest of the Purple Gold Leopard, you can split it among yourselves. This is the bottom line of my Black Wind group. If you don't agree, then we can only compete. After thinking for a moment, the leader of the Black Wind group made a difficult decision and said, to be honest, he was extremely unwilling to give up the Purple Gold Leopard. However, looking at the greedy eyes of the crowd, he knew that it was impossible for him to take everything today. Therefore, he could only bear the pain and give up a portion of the benefits. After the leader of the Black Wind group finished speaking, the entire Black Wind group was ready for battle. When the crowd saw this, they began to discuss among themselves. After all, to be honest, they did not want to be enemies with the Black Wind group. After all, the reputation of the Black Wind group was still there. If the leader of the Black Wind group was really the leader of the Black Wind group, his expression would be even more unsightly. In the end, what he was most worried about had happened. If they were dealing with the Dragon Capturing group, the Black Wind group was not afraid at all. However, the Dragon Capturing group was not the only group here. There were so many people here. With all these people together, even he would have to think twice. The leader of the Black Wind group looked at the leader of the Dragon Capturing group with a ferocious look. He truly regretted not getting rid of the Dragon Capturing group earlier. If he had gotten rid of them earlier, the Dragon Capturing group would not have been able to delay his plans. How about this? The Black Wind group will take this kid and the Purple Gold Tiger. As for the rest of the Purple Gold Leopard, you can split it among yourselves. This is the bottom line of the Black Wind group. If you don't agree, then we can only compete. After thinking for a moment, the leader of the Black Wind group made a difficult decision and said, to be honest, he was extremely unwilling to give up the Purple Gold Leopard. However, looking at the greedy eyes of the crowd, he knew that it was impossible for him to take everything today. Therefore, he could only bear the pain and give up a portion of the benefits. After the leader of the Black Wind group finished speaking, the entire Black Wind group was ready for battle. When the crowd saw this, they began to discuss among themselves. After all, to be honest, they did not want to be enemies with the Black Wind group. After all, the Black Wind group's reputation was there. If they really fought with the Black Wind group, they would not feel good. At this moment, the leader of the Black Wind group's face was even more unsightly. In the end, what he was most worried about had happened. If they were dealing with the Dragon Capturing group, the Black Wind group was not afraid at all. However, the Dragon Capturing group was not the only group here. There were so many people. With all these people together, even he would have to think twice. When the leader of the Black Wind group looked at the leader of the Dragon Capturing group, his eyes were filled with ferocity. He truly regretted not getting rid of the Dragon Capturing group earlier. If he had done so, the Dragon Capturing group would not have been able to delay his plans. How about this? The Black Wind group will take this kid and the Purple Gold Tiger. As for the rest of the Purple Gold Leopard, you can share it. This is the bottom line of the Black Wind group. If you don't agree, then we can only compete. After thinking for a moment, the leader of the Black Wind group made a difficult decision and said, to be honest, he was extremely unwilling to give up the Purple Gold Leopard. However, looking at the greedy eyes of the crowd, he knew that it was impossible for him to take everything today. Therefore, he could only bear the pain and give up a portion of the benefits. After the leader of the Black Wind group finished speaking, the entire Black Wind group was ready for battle. When the crowd saw this, they began to discuss among themselves. After all, to be honest, they did not want to be enemies with the Black Wind group. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.